check. Because I've never tried streaming docs before. Let's see how this looks. Just so it's acceptable. I think that should be fine. Okay, I know nobody's here yet, but I'm just going to go ahead and clear some things up. This was a story I started back in, like, hold on, when did I send the original email to you? Open my email during a stream. This is beautiful. This is a story I started back in, where is it? Here it is. I started it back in, like, March. It was like late March, early April, and I didn't finish it until like late June. This is a pretty recent story. It was worked on between MC Sparkler, who's my co-writer, and I, so there's our information right there. We kind of split the work 50-50 for this one. You can probably tell who did who. I just realized I don't have cursor capture on, so I just tried to move my mouse, and you probably didn't see it. Okay, but whatever. So, I'm just going to kind of do I want to see what this is like, so I decided I want to do a non-dramatic reading of this, which means I'm just going to read through this entire thing. 71 pages, it's going to be fun. Couple things I want to note are the chat commands. As you can see, they're kind of listed on the right side of the stream here. Use those if you want more information. Playlist is kind of just a playlist video. The songs coincide with the song names in the actual story. As you can see, I'm not going to be naming them because they're like not actually part of the story, but I'm just going to go ahead and start reading, I guess. I'm not going to like imitate voices, and I'm going to put some amount of effort into acting, but like not a whole lot. I guess I can go ahead and get started. I mean, I know I don't have any viewers right now, but the sooner I get this done, the better. I kind of got started later than I wanted to. Okay. Prologue. These 3 dashes denote a third-person POV. And I'm not going to have music playing in the background or anything. I don't feel like it. I'll just do this. And plus, it would be really weird to mess around with. Okay. We've seen professional kidnappers. We've seen a grandma who wanted revenge. We've seen ghosts. We've seen a corrupt government group. We've even dealt with the Illuminati on multiple occasions. So, who are we up against this time? A spy organization. They are known as Wolf, no acronym. What do they specialize in? I think I made it very clear earlier, but spying. Seriously, though, they're good at their job. Their location? Unidentifiable. Their leader? Anonymous. Their ultimate goal? Unknown. All that is known about Wolf is that they are a highly dangerous organization. What makes them so dangerous, you might ask? First of all, they will do anything that is necessary to achieve their goal, no matter what. Kidnapping? Just fine. Murder? Perfectly acceptable. Second, they can find information on anyone, anywhere in the world, in a matter of seconds. A person's full name, location, workplace, school, and more can be found with a push of a button. Their origins are also unknown, although there have been theories on how the organization started. The U.S. government has made attempts in the past to track Wolf down, but their efforts have proved fruitless. Judging by their previous actions, part of Wolf's master plan involves a kidnapping, and right now they've set their sights on a girl in the town of Lee Summit, Missouri. Don't think of that as special in any way. Who are they after? A girl by the name of Avery. Yeah, just for reference, almost every character in my stories is based off of someone I know IRL. There is a character who is based off of me, and we'll get to that and you'll probably figure out who that is right away. Alright. I would go into character details, but I'm not going to. You'll figure it out. Yay, buffering. Chapter 1, Avery. And yeah, I have POVs and stuff. It's awesome. 4th hour. Honestly, one of the lowlights of my day. To be truthful, most of the people in my 4th hour class annoy the hell out of me. There are a select few who don't, mind you. As I walk from A building to B building to get between classes, I choose to take the indoor breezeway. Not that I have anything against going outside, it's just that there are some people out there who I prefer to stay away from nowadays. I meet up with a couple of my friends and we walk up the stairs on my way to 4th hour geometry, one of my least favorite hours of the day. I have nothing against the class. I actually do quite well in it. When I walk in the door and begin the walk to my desk, the first thing I hear is a cheery, "Hello." Meet Sam, one of the most confusing people you will ever meet. That's an understatement. I try my hardest to make it seem like I didn't hear him, when really, I just didn't want to make eye contact with him. And yes, I know he's just trying to be nice. I actually have nothing wrong with that, but he's still annoying as all hell. And, as you might have guessed, he's one of the reasons 4th hour, well, sucks. Just to be fair, she and I don't actually have geometry together, but we have it in the same hour. Trying my hardest to not seem rude to him, I take my seat and observe how he reacts. Same as he normally does. He either doesn't notice that I'm ignoring him or he doesn't care. Yes, I helped Sam and his friends quite a bit in some adventures they went on, and I actually did enjoy those times. But that's in the past now. I've moved on, and I hope to never be involved in that life again. I've got bigger and better things to worry about now. Then the bell rings, signaling the start of 4th hour. The teacher puts some warm-up problems on the board for us to attempt, like we always do at the start of the hour. Nothing too special. Heath. Today, at lunch, I am with Sam and a couple of other guys who like to sit with us, same as always. The other 2 guys are talking about a subject I prefer not to get involved in, so for the most part, I was silent. Until Sam says to me, Heath, have you noticed that Avery's been a little iffy lately? Explain. She's just not acting like how she used to around us. I mean, I've never been her best friend or anything, but recently she's just been ignoring me, Sam explains. Sounds like her problem, I shrugged. This story's supposed to be in present tense. Why do I have past tense in there? You're right, though. Ever since Mia died, well, she just kind of stopped interacting with us altogether. Do you think Mia's death could be the reason why? I shrugged. Could be. Oh my god, why is this in past tense? Okay, I'm gonna get so mad over every mistake in this story now. Could be. I think she's just had enough with us now. We can't control the way she acts or thinks. I guess you have a point there, Sam says. We don't bring it up again until after lunch ends. As we're walking outside to get back to our 5th hours, we notice Avery walking with a friend of hers. I'll try talking to her, I tell Sam. Have fun, he smirks. After rolling my eyes at Sam, I walk over to Avery and casually say, Hey there. She looks my way and flashes me a smile with barely any effort put into it. She waves awkwardly and replies, Hi, Heath. How are you doing? I ask, trying to see where this would head. Fine, is all she says in reply. Then she goes back to talking to her friend. Realizing that she probably has no interest in continuing a conversation, I walk back over to Sam. No interest in talking to me, I say to him. I make sure to talk quietly. I don't want her overhearing me. Figures as much, Sam sighs. Oh well, we tried. Yep. 3rd person POV. But as they were walking back to their classes from lunch, one thing Sam, Heath, and Avery don't take notice of is that only a few feet away, a small minivan sat, and a man was watching them from afar. Again, past tense. After a few seconds of paying close attention to Avery, the man turns on the radio in his car. Any normal person would just assume that he's listening to some crappy radio station or a talk show. But that's not what this man is doing. Do you have sight on the target? A voice came from the radio. Affirmative. Permission to proceed? Permission granted. I will contact you once I am successful. Agent Aries over and out. Over and out. With that, the conversation is over and the minivan leaves the scene. Not a single person in the vicinity expects a thing. Yeah, every single agent here is named after some zodiac symbol. It's awesome, and it was all MC's idea. The next day, because that's necessary to point out, Chapter 2, Sam. It is the end of another semi-interesting geometry class. It was the same routine as just about every day. Warm up, go over last night's homework, learn our new material for the day, and then get started on an assignment. Our assignment today was in the book, which we had online access to. Therefore, I have the book pulled up on my Chromebook to work on my assignment, while simultaneously checking my Gmail, Twitter, and pretty much everything else that I use. Yeah, I love to multitask. True that. 3 minutes until the bell, I decide that I had enough and begin to close my Chromebook. About 1/100th of a second after I shut it, the intercom comes on, and the intercom voice says, Students and staff, we are now going into a hard lockdown. Fuck. Quickly, I survey the room for any potential hiding spots, and the only thing that comes to my attention right away is the random table that's still in the room. The classroom I go into... God, this needs to say... I'm changing this. There we go. The classroom I go to for geometry used to be a science class, and, well, they never fully cleaned it out. I hide behind it, and just my luck, so does Avery. Well, isn't this just lovely? I try whispering to her as a joke. She says nothing in reply. Must be a shooter, I think to myself. Then the intercom turns on again, and for a split second, I think that the panic button's going to be pushed. But a completely different voice comes on the intercom and growls, We're coming for you, Avery. And then he either is done or gets cut off. Avery immediately begins freaking out. Oh my god. They're talking about me. They're coming for me. Holy hell. Avery, relax. There's more than one person at the school named Avery, I tell her. You're not helping, Sam. I know. Even in the darkness, I can see her mouth beginning to open again, but she shuts it, and her eyes grow big. I follow them to find a man standing right outside of the door. No, not again. Avery, there's nothing to worry about. It's not like he can kick the door open or anything. He would have to pull on the door to open it, and it's locked, I tell her, trying to be reassuring. What happens next, however, completely shocks everyone in the room. A fist shoots straight through the door's small glass window, and the hand gropes for the doorknob, eventually finding it and pulling it. But he can do that, I say sheepishly. Thinking quickly, if you call 5 seconds quickly, I throw myself in front of Avery, blocking her from the man's vision. The weird thing is, the man's eyes aren't big and his face isn't in a fit of rage. He seems calm. For a second, it seems like my plan is working. But then, I'm shoved out of the way, and the man takes Avery, shoots through the window glass, and hops outside with her. That man's getting away with Avery, a guy named Trevor yells. I stand up and growl, not on my watch. Against my better judgment, and despite the protests from my classmates and teacher, I then proceed to grab a pair of scissors from the teacher's desk and jump out the window after the kidnapper. Using the tree as somewhat of a ladder, I climb down to the ground just in time to find the man shoving Avery in his car. Okay, I need to make some major changes here because the classroom is nowhere near any trees for geometry this year. You will hand her over this instant, I threaten, showing off the scissors in my hand. Avery's face turns into a look of horror, and for a second, I think it's because of me. But then she screams, Sam, look out! Behind you! I quickly turn around to find another man running at me with something that looks like a baseball bat. The amount of time I have to react is none, and before I know it, the world becomes nothing but darkness. L. So, for anybody who doesn't know about my stories, which is none of you, L is Sam's girlfriend until this story. More will come soon. After the lockdown in 4th hour, I am surprised to take notice of the mood changing, and for the worst. During lunch, I find a whole table of girls in the middle of an intense discussion, a couple of whom are crying. When I ask what the deal is, they tell me that Avery got kidnapped during the lockdown. So my first instinct is to find Sam and talk to him about what happened. Except when I come across the table where Sam and Heath normally sit at, only Heath, and the older guys as well, is present. When Heath sees me, his eyes become big and he chooses to look down at his food rather than at me. I sit down where Sam normally sits, and for a few seconds, neither of us say anything. I finally decide to start the conversation by saying, So, I hear Avery got kidnapped. Heath doesn't look up from his food and just says, mm-hmm. My suspicions raise a little, but I choose not to bug him just yet. I feel really bad for the people who witnessed it. Yeah, is all he says. I decide to push him just a little bit more now. Has Sam told you what he thinks about it? Now he finally makes eye contact with me. He hasn't told me anything. I narrow my eyes at him. Where is he? He left early. Why? He, didn't tell me why. You're hesitating. Heath then looks back down at his food and doesn't say anything else. Heath, I think you're lying to me. I'm not, I swear. I raise an eyebrow at him, and he looks up at me for a second and shrugs. I sigh, mutter, whatever, and walk back over to my usual table. Third-person POV because I switch to these not when I need to, transition to an alternate scene, but when I feel like no other POV will work. Once Elle is out of hearing range, one of the older guys, Joe, nudges Heath in the shoulder and asks, What was that all about? Heath lowers his head and whispers back, Sam got kidnapped along with Avery. Why didn't you tell her that? I don't know. I guess I just didn't want to upset her, but I think I made it worse. You definitely made it worse. The conversation ends there and is not brought up for the rest of lunch. We'll see how long I can go without having to take a drink. Chapter 3. Sam. Hey, are you awake? The first thing I hear when regaining my consciousness is Avery's voice. I reach up to rub my eyes, then realize that I can't. Both of my hands are bound behind my back with rope. It is then that I realize my surroundings. I am in the back of some sort of moving, as in it's currently moving. Because, there's a difference between a van that's in motion and a van that you use when you're moving from, to, a different house or something. Van. And Avery and I are back to back. Judging from the fact that I feel her hands on mine, I'm pretty sure our hands are bound together. Ow. What happened? I moan, aching from all the pain in my body. Then I notice a particular aroma in the air. And why do I smell like coffee? Oh yeah. There was an accident as you were being tied up, Avery explains, stifling a laugh. The two of us sit in silence for a few more minutes, and then Avery asks me, You remember what happened, right? Barely. The last thing I remember was you telling me to look out, and that one guy came for me with a bat in his hand. And that's it, I say softly, my head hurting from how hard I was trying to think. The van is moving at a brisk pace, so the ride is pretty smooth. There are no windows in the trunk we are in, and so we can't see anything of the outside world. Well, now I know what a hangover feels like, I laugh a few minutes later. Sam, I don't think you truly know yet, Avery sighs. And you do? I never said that. Where do you think we're going? Well, geez, Sam, does it look like I know? I guess that means I should stop talking? Good idea. So we both sit in silence, and I am alone with my thoughts. It is then that it finally hits me. I've never been kidnapped before. Yes, I've been captured as part of an entire group before, but never before I've been exclusively abducted, even though I'm also with Avery at the moment. Normal people would freak out from this. I just find it weird. Oh yeah, I should probably mention this is the last story in the series. I've neglected to bring that up until now. Avery. After what feels like hours, I finally feel the car come to a halt. Thank God, I mutter to myself. My body is beginning to cramp up from all this time spent sitting down. A couple of minutes later, the trunk we are located inside opens up, and the two men from earlier stand there. Ow! Now, the taller of the two motions for us to exit the vehicle. I'd like to know what business you have with us first, Sam growls. You are in no position to make demands. I suggest you learn to follow orders, the second man replies. Hey, be nice to him, I say. How stupid can you people truly get? You're going to wind up in a world of trouble if you don't shut your mouths and do as you're told, the tall man growls. Neither of us even attempt to say anything after that, at least until we both get out of the trunk. Okay, can you at least cut us apart, please? I have a feeling walking is going to be really awkward if we're tied together like this, Sam requests. The tall man sighs, then looks to the other man. Agent PCs, untie them. Watch them carefully. I don't trust them to comply, he says. Sam and I are then untied from each other, and as we're led inside the house we stopped at, Sam whispers to me, bastards. I'm going to add a quotation right here. So, I think originally this said something along the lines of like, wow, I've only been here for 5 minutes and I already have a target on my back, or something like that. Knock it off, kid, the agent PC's grumbles, flicking Sam in the back of the head. Dude, I have rights. We're protected by the First Amendment, I add. Not around here. Next, we are led into a large empty room. No furniture, no windows, to be expected, no nothing. I guess this is where we're staying for now, I say, adding a chuckle to the end. Neither man says anything in reply, so the implied answer is yes. Did I say implied? I don't remember. The two men leave the room and shut the door, and it didn't take a genius to figure they'd lock it. So cliche, Sam mutters once the room becomes quiet again. I guess it could be worse, I shrug. Are you kidding me, Avery? If this isn't the living definition of hell, I don't know what is, Sam sighs. Third person POV. Yeesh, can I get a break every now and then? This is my 4th chapter in a row, and I really need to get up and stretch. Sighs. Whatever, back to the story. I love making the narrator dumb. Now that the two spies are done with Sam and Avery, it is time to review what had just happened. What were you thinking? The plan was to take Avery and only Avery. Now we have 2 of them to deal with, Agent Aries sighs. It's not my fault the little brat came after us. I had no other choice, Agent Pieces replies. Besides, do you even know who he is? Of course I do. That's the whole reason this is a problem, Agent Aries yells, throwing his hands up in frustration. Avery by herself wouldn't be an issue, but he could ruin all of our plans. We need to contact home base and let them know about this. Affirmative. With that, the 2 men call up home base and their leader, who identifies by the codename Gemini. This is Agent Aries and Agent Pieces. This is Gemini. Report? We have Avery. However, there were some complications. We had to take another hostage. Some kid tried to interfere, Agent Pieces explained, again with the freaking past tense. I see. Good work, Agent Aries and Pieces. Where do we go from here? Agent Aries asks. Give him a day or 2. Afterwards, we will be ready to proceed. Fair enough. Agent Aries and Agent Pieces over and out. Over and out. The call ends. That was an interesting POV. Not one of our greatest, but not one of our worst either. Chapter 4. Avalon, aka the only person who really isn't based off of anybody that MC or I know IRL. Status update. I'm currently driving to Heath's house to take part in some sort of urgent meeting. Apparently, not only has Avery gotten kidnapped, again, but Sam was kidnapped with her. How pathetic. As I pull into the driveway, I stare out of my window at his house and say to myself, it had to be here of all places. I get out of my car and walk up to the front door and knock a few times. Heath opens it a few seconds later, and I'm greeted by him and his friend, Jack. Apparently they're close buds and have been for a while now. Who else is coming? I ask as I walk into his living room and take a seat on one of the couches. Just the three of us and Mackenzie. That's it, Heath answers. What about Elle? We'll get to that eventually. I'm about to ask for more information, but I am interrupted by the door opening. Almost as if by cue, Mackenzie walks inside and takes a seat next to me. Once we are all situated, Heath stands up as if he were beginning a formal speech and states, My friends, we are gathered here today to prepare for the rescue of our own. As you should know by now, just get to the damn point. No one is here to listen to a long, pointless speech, I sigh. Okay then. Long story short, Sam and Avery were kidnapped today. I have called you all here today because I am organizing a search and rescue team. This Saturday will be dedicated to us rescuing Sam and Avery from whoever their captors may be. Hold on, who declared you the leader? I ask. First of all, Avalon, I have been close friends with Sam for much longer than you have. I also know him better than you do, Heath explains. Therefore, I believe he would have more trust and faith in me to be his substitute. So suddenly, leadership decisions are made through sappy friendships and opinions from people who aren't in the near vicinity? I'm pretty sure that's not how it works. Avalon, remember the last time you led us for something? Mackenzie asks rhetorically. Mackenzie, remember the last time I asked for your opinion? Huh, that's right. I didn't. I'm the second in command here, so I get just as much of a say as anybody else in this room, and then some. Well, aside from Jack, at least. Why do none of you believe that I'm qualified to lead the team? Last time I checked, I am the most qualified. I have more skill and training than all of you combined, I huff. And then there's another knocking on the door. I'm going to take a drink real quick. That should be better. Okay, I'm going to explain Brielle's character real quick. So she's Avery's older sister. I just felt like giving her a character for this story, but I don't think I did a good job with it. Oh yeah, I need to fix that because I made that edit literally last night. Earlier that day, Brielle. While on my way to softball practice after 7th hour, I walk past a couple of freshman guys having a discussion, a serious one at that. Both of them have their heads lowered and are whispering to each other. Deciding to think nothing of it as I walk past them, as I have to get to softball practice soon. But right as they pass by me, I hear the word Avery muttered among one of them. I heard about Avery getting kidnapped earlier today, so now I'm interested. What are you two talking about? I ask them. Both of them stop and look at me, and one of them, who I recognize as Heath, I've seen him around a few times, replies, Oh, just making plans for after school, that's all. I eye him suspiciously, but make nothing of it. POV break. Later, after softball practice is over, I walk by the guy's locker room and notice a small piece of paper on the bench with writing on it. I look at the writing and see an address on it. Hey, I need that, a voice says from behind me. I turn around to see Jack, the guy Heath was walking with earlier. I smile sheepishly and say, Oh, sorry, here you go, and give him the paper, after I've already memorized the address. Another POV break. Now I stand on Heath's doorstep waiting for someone to open the door. The door opens and I'm greeted by another friend of mine, Mackenzie. Hi, Mackenzie, I wave. Brielle, what brings you here? Mackenzie asks, flashing me a smile. Well, I heard that Avery got kidnapped, and I heard that there was going to be a meeting here, I explained. So I was just wondering what's going on. We're currently fighting over leadership of the team. I should be the obvious choice, but not everyone seems to agree with that. Avalon, who Avery has told me about before, sighs. Avalon, maybe it's because last time you tried to lead us, it went horribly wrong, Heath says. Shut the fuck up, Heath. Avalon rolls her eyes. Well, is it okay to ask that I join you guys? As Avery's older sister, I want to do what I can to help her out, I ask. Well, if you really want to, one more person couldn't hurt. We're heading out this Saturday, Heath shrugged. Great, I'll be ready by then, I exclaim. I'm Avery's sister, and I also happen to know Sam pretty well, and I want to do anything in my power to make sure they return home safely. Yeah, I'm a bit cliche with stuff like that. Okay, this next chapter, I just completely screwed with it. I just want to make this clear. I actually kind of have a thing with stuck scenes in movies. I don't know why they're not in more of them. And sometimes I insert them into a lot of stories. Sometimes they're useful, sometimes they're pointless. This one is pointless but freaking hilarious. Okay, here we go. And most stuck scenes have don't leave me alone before them. Well, only 3 of them do, but it makes sense. I have no clue how much time has passed since Avery and I arrived at this building. Hell, I'm not even sure I know how much time has passed since we've been kidnapped. I do know one thing, though. For the first time ever, Avery's beginning to piss me off. Okay, Avery, seriously, you can stop pacing now, I sigh after she has done so for... Once again, I have no way of telling how long. Sam, this is my third time being kidnapped. Why shouldn't I be freaking out? Avery exclaims, throwing her hands up in frustration. I shrug. This is my first time, and you don't see me acting worried. Why aren't you, of all people, worried? Oh, I am. I just choose to hide it. She gives me an, are you actually serious expression, then proceeds to sigh, roll her eyes, and facepalm. We're going to be found eventually, Avery. You know this, I sigh. Well, we should still have a plan B, just in case, Avery says. It is then that I notice her eyes lock onto something on the wall. She walks up to what she's looking at, and I follow her. What she's looking at is a small air duct grating on the wall, about the size of a small cat door. Don't ask how I can judge that. I look at that, and then at Avery, and I say, no way. You probably can't fit, Avery says, but I have a chance. For the record, I'm barely that much bigger than Avery. Bet. I doubt it. Only one way to find out, she mutters. She pulls off the grating and begins to crawl inside. Since I don't want to seem like a pervert, and I already know how it's going to end, I simply turn away and mutter, I'm just not going to watch this. I spend a few seconds listening to her struggling and grunting. Eventually she calls out, okay, so, I apparently misjudged my size relative to this. I told you so, I mumble. Another few seconds pass, and I hear more shuffling and grunting. Having fun in there? I smirk. All noises stop for a second. Then, yep, I'm stuck. God damn it, Avery, I mutter. I turn around, wrap my arms around her midsection, and pull backwards. She slides out with only a small amount of effort required. Thank you, she gasps after I release her. Don't mention it, and don't do that again. She says nothing in reply. I then walk over to the door and examine the doorknob. I see a small keyhole in it, and I remember from earlier that the door is a push door from the inside. Avery, you can pick locks, right? I yell to her. She replies with a faraway sounding, yeah. Can you come over here and see if you can pick this lock? I ask. No reply at first. Avery, what are you? I turn in her direction and end up facepalming. Avery, what the shit? Sorry, I got desperate. Sighing, I walk over to free her from the vent. Again. God, I'm freaking stupid. I don't know why I laugh at this. Also, I have food now, so I'm going to be eating. Eating on stream for the win. Chapter 6. Heath. At lunch today, I am sitting with my usual group of people, with the obvious exception of Sam, but I'm also keeping an eye out for someone I really don't want to talk to right now. Elle. That came out weirdly, so Elle. Unfortunately, it seems as though that is going to have to happen. Out of the corner of my eye, I see her glancing around the comments, an infuriated expression on her face. When she finally sees me sitting at my table, she walks over to me as if she's about to kill me. Her expression is absolutely murderous. What's the deal, Heath? She hisses at me. What are you talking about? I sigh. I know I shouldn't be naive with this situation, but it's too late to go back now. Sam has not replied to any texts, emails, or Hangouts messages that I've sent him. I've even tried messaging him on Twitter and I've gotten no response. What is he not telling me? Her voice becomes more and more frustrated as she speaks. That's when I decide that it's finally time to tell her. Elle, this is really hard for me to tell you, but you see, Sam, he kinda... Then she holds up a hand as if she's telling me to stop. Don't go any further. I already know. Then she begins strutting away. Elle, I don't think you get it, I say. She turns back to me, and once again her face screams bloody murder. Oh, I get it, alright. He's trying to avoid me, isn't he? She growls. Elle, that's not it at all. You have to let me explain. I don't need an explanation. He clearly wants to call it off with me. Now, I wouldn't mind if he wasn't doing it in such a hurtful way, but Elle, listen to me, I say sternly. But once again, she holds up that hand of hers. Just shut up, Heath. I'm done, is all she says. Then she struts away from me before I get a chance to say anything else. At that point, there's nothing more I can do but sigh and put my head in my arms. Joe mutters to me, I told you that would make things worse. I can say nothing in reply, because he's right. Mackenzie. Right now, at about 5:54 p.m., I'm standing at Heath's doorstep and I knock 3 times. Heath's voice calls out, come in, so I do so. I walk into his living room to find him and Jack going over something, presumably plans for our expedition on Saturday. Both boys wave to me, and Jack asks, what brings you here? I have some questions for Heath, I answer. Heath immediately sighs. Earlier that day. On my way to 6th hour, I bump into Elle. I flash her a wave and all she can give me is a smile. Hey, you doing okay? I ask. I figured that Heath or somebody else had already told her the news. Yeah, I guess you can say that, she replies. Well, okay. Well, speaking of Sam, I start to say, but Elle immediately interrupts me. Can we not talk about that backstabbing bastard, please? I'm already frustrated enough about that as it is, she sighs. Then she brushes past me and says snarkily, now, if you'll excuse me, I don't want to be late to class. I almost call her back, but I decide it's not worth trying. Instead, I continue to my 6th hour while muttering, Heath's gonna have some explaining to do later. Heath, what did you say to Elle about Sam? She was acting different this afternoon, I asked, giving him the death eye. I didn't really say anything, he answers. It was more, well, she kind of just assumed from the information I gave her that Sam was trying to avoid her and decided to dump him before I could tell her the truth. You idiot, I mutter. Hey, don't blame me. You should have told her from the get-go. Why didn't you? I don't know. I didn't know that it would lead to this. I guess I just didn't want her to worry right away. Can we stop arguing about this, Jack suggests, and focus on the more important matter at hand? I take a deep breath to calm myself down, take a seat, and say, fine, what do we need to discuss? He stares at me and asks, what do you know about Brielle? I shrug. I haven't known her for too long, and I don't know her well enough. I'll change that real quick. To know specifics on how she could be useful for this search. Is she athletic? Does she have the proper attitude? Does she take things seriously? Jack asks me. She does do sports. As for the latter two, I would assume yes. After all, she is in this for Avery, and if I recall, she's been close with Sam for a few months now. Ha, good meme. Good, Heath mumbles, jotting down stuff in a notepad. Then he asks, do you have any ways of getting in contact with her? I have her number. Good. Text her and let her know that we're going to meet up early Saturday morning to go over some stuff she'll need to know for the search. If Brielle is going to just join in on this, we need to make sure she's ready. Otherwise, we'll probably wind up with one more innocent girl dead than we need to. Can and will do, I say. I begin to walk outside, and right before I exit, I call out, oh, Heath? Yeah? You're a fucking dumbass. Get out of here. I exit and text Brielle what Heath told me to. She responds about a minute later with, okay, we'll remember. As I begin to walk away from Heath Street, I roll my eyes and say to myself, here we go again. Eat some food real quick. I'm gonna actually get my mic for a second. I'm gonna have my mic turned up just slightly louder this time. Chapter 7. Avery. I'm examining the lock of the door keeping us inside. I can definitely pick this, I say after a few seconds. Well then do it, Sam says. I shoot him a quick glare and then remove my hairpin and begin working on the lock. Yay, my fan is acting up now. Picking a lock is much harder than people on TV make it look. It requires complete focus and concentration in order to not screw it up. So you can imagine the stress I receive from having Sam watch me closely. You know, I never noticed how good your hair is when you put it down, Sam says. I hold up a hand to hush him. I need the focus. Finally, I hear the click of the lock opening. Aha! I cheer. Sam grabs the doorknob and turns it, and the doorknob pops right off. What? Sam exclaims, looking at the doorknob now in his hand. He must have thought ahead, I groan. Now we're really trapped in here. Not really, Sam mutters. His foot begins to rise up and I give him a look. Sam, your foot is not strong enough to break through that door. I don't think this door is very stable, he replies. Sure enough, he was right. The door flies open from the force of his kick. Both of us run into the other room where our two captors, Agent Pieces and Agent Aries, if I recall, sat, still past tense for some stupid reason, on the couch watching TV. Almost instantly, they take notice of the two of us, and for a second, they don't seem to know what to do. And Sam and I decide to take advantage of that 1 second. Run or fight? I ask him. Fight, then run. So Sam and I charge into battle. Before either man truly reacts, Agent Aries turns his head slightly, speaking into a device that must be in the pocket of his suit. Sam and I look at each other, similar expressions on our faces. Neither of us hear what he says, but it doesn't matter, because by that point, we run into the fight, guns blazing. You're messing with the wrong people, Agent Aries growls. I tackle him and start doing work on his face, but he gains the upper hand incredibly quickly and has me pinned to a wall, hands behind my back. Now you're gonna get it, bitch, he sneers. That's when I hear the clicking of a gun. For a second, I'm afraid that I'm about to be shot. Then I hear the loud bang of a gunshot, followed by groaning. But the groaning doesn't sound like Sam's. Another gunshot goes off a second or two later, and I feel my arms being released by Aries. I turn around to find Sam with a gun in his hand. Agent Peasleys is on the floor, and his leg is bleeding profusely. Same for Agent Aries. "How'd you get that?" I ask him, bewildered. "Managed to wrestle it out of this guy. He was a tough one," Sam replies. "Well, we don't have a second to lose. Let's get out of here," I declare, and Sam nods along. We run to the door, and I pull on the handle, but as I expected, it's locked as well. "There's a window right over there," Sam points out. I follow him to said window. He grabs a chair and motions for me to help him. I run over to him and grab a hold of the chair as well. "Alright, on 3, I tell him. We begin swinging the chair back and forth. 1, 2, 3, Sam counts. On 3, we throw the chair at the window, and to our pleasure, it shatters. We both whoop and exit through the windows, careful not to touch any broken glass. Next stop, freedom, Sam smiles at me. Yeah, we do stuff like that often. With that, we both begin running away from the house. I'm gonna do another eating session real quick. Chapter 8. Jackson. He's just referred to that for switching POVs because I'm stupid or something. At precisely 6:30 a.m. Saturday morning, my older brother is driving me to Heath's house. As I get out of the car, he calls out to me, "Remind me, I need to be back at what time?" 12 hours from now, I reply. "What are you even doing?" "You'll find out. If we can rescue Sam and Avery, they'll find out in the news." Then I walk in the front door. Obviously, Heath is already there, and I'm not surprised to find Mackenzie and Brielle also already there. We were afraid of things getting difficult, and Avalon was here, so we didn't invite her. "You ready, Brielle?" I ask her, taking a seat next to Heath on his couch. "Just tell me what I have to do, and I'll do it," she shrugs. Avalon was told to arrive at 8 a.m. sharp. So Heath, Mackenzie, and I spend the next 90 minutes giving Brielle some basics to this mission. Mackenzie teaches her basics of weaponless self-defense, and Heath and I show Brielle our shooting skills. She even does some practicing, with Heath pretending to be a bad guy trying to kidnap her. She does quite well in escaping. Yeah, I suck at that part. By 7:55 a.m., Brielle says to us, "Okay, this is a lot to take in. Hey, you decided to join in on this. You think you can handle it?" Mackenzie asks. "Yeah, anything for Avery." "What about Sam?" Heath asks. "Him too." Yeah, I kind of did that a couple times. By that point, I can see Avalon's van pulling up in Heath's driveway, which is going to be our main method of transportation. The 4 of us join her, and she rolls down a window, motions to us, and sternly tells us, "Get in." And that's just what we do. As Heath and I enter the 2 back seats, I nudge him and give him a nod of reassurance. He gives me one back. "Don't worry, guys. We're coming." That was like an internal burp. Okay. Mackenzie. After a few minutes into our drive, something came to my attention. Wait, we have no idea who or what took them. How are we supposed to have an idea where to start? Avalon already has an answer. I brought Hamilton with me. I took him to Sam and Avery's houses this morning to gather their scents. "Who's Hamilton?" Brielle asks. "My search dog. Shouldn't mentioning scents make that obvious?" "Avalon, take it easy on her," Heath says. "Might we remind you that this is her first time on a mission with us? Doesn't mean she shouldn't be able to figure out the obvious." Heath just sighs. I'm pretty sure that means he gives up. After that, we begin riding in silence with only the outside noises to fill the blank gaps. At around 8:45, we drive past a field and Hamilton begins barking. "Guess he found something," Jack smirks. "Sam. Sam, do you honestly have any idea of where we're going?" Avery asks me as we're walking on a sidewalk. On one side of us were trees, and on the other side, an empty road. Apparently cars don't like to drive by early in the morning. Anyway, status report. Not really anything interesting. When Avery and I left the house, the sun was just beginning to rise. Once again, neither of us have any reasonable way to check the time, but it's pretty safe to assume we've been on the run for at least 3 hours or so. Alright, back to our conversation. "Avery, I don't even know where we are. The least we can do right now is keep trying," I respond. A few seconds of silence pass between us. Then Avery turns to me and asks, "Do you think our friends are looking for us?" I stop for a second to ponder that. Maybe. No way to know for certain, of course, but I think it's safe to assume that. Avery holds up a hand to stop me mid-sentence. "Hold on," she says. Then she leans her ears towards the direction we're walking as if she's trying to listen for something. "Sam, do you hear that?" I listen closely. Sure enough, I hear the sounds of some sort of vehicle. If that's someone looking for us, it could either be our friends or our enemies, I whisper quickly to Avery. The two of us take cover behind a few bushes nearby, but we keep an eye out as the vehicle slowly approaches us. Then Avery and I take a good look at the person in the driver's window, and we breathe a sigh of relief. It's Avalon. Avery. As Avalon's van drives past us, Sam nudges me and hisses, "Don't just sit there, go!" With that, we both burst out of our hiding spot and run after the van, yelling. The van stops shortly afterwards, and the doors open. Stepping outside are Avalon, Heath, Mackenzie, Jack, and Brielle. "Guys!" Sam yells cheerfully as we run towards our rescuers. "See, Heath? This is why I should have assumed leadership," Avalon smirks. "Look how long that took us." Excuse me?" I ask, confused. "Yeah, we had some arguments over leadership earlier, but none of that matters now," Heath explains. "Avery!" Brielle cries out. I run towards her and we embrace each other. I see a few tears streaming down her eyes as she says to me, "I was so worried about you." "Hey, Brielle," Sam waves. Brielle lets go of me and waves back. "What made you want to join the team?" he adds. Brielle smiles. "I heard there was a search and rescue team for you guys, and I wanted to join for Avery." Ahem. "And you too, Sam." "Good. Hey, where's Elle?" Heath smiles sheepishly and acts nervous. I kinda accidentally convinced her that you were trying to avoid her, and she dumped you." "Oh. Well, when we get home, at least then I can tell her the truth," Sam laughs, although he doesn't sound like he actually finds it humorous. The only reason I added that, you'll find out later. Then Mackenzie walks over to us. "So what exactly happened? Were you hurt? How did you escape? Who took you?" she asks frantically as she examines us, almost motherly-like. "Mackenzie, we're fine," I reassure her, giving her a small push away from me, "and we'll tell you all about it on the way home. Let's not waste any more time. Let's get moving," Heath exclaims cheerfully. Everyone whoops, except for Sam, who just says whoop in a monotone voice. Because, I would do that. Everyone begins piling into the van, but right as Sam and I are heading inside, I spot another pair of headlights coming our way. Okay, screw turning off my mic. Chapter 9. Brielle. From the other end of the road comes another pair of headlights. These headlights belong to another van, almost exactly like Avalon's. We've got company," Avery says, a bit nervously. "Calm down. It could be someone randomly driving by, or even someone trying to help," Heath says, trying to sound calming. "I doubt they're either of those two things. We need to move, and fast," Avalon mutters urgently. With that, she performs a highly illegal U-turn on the road and begins driving at a speed probably way over the speed limit. "Avalon, are you really sure this is the best idea?" Heath screams. Behind us, the other van is gaining. "Just shut up, Heath, and let me drive," Avalon yells back, obviously frustrated. Avery is in the seat next to me, in the very back, and I reach over and hold her tightly. "No one's going to take you on my watch," I growl. Avery just makes a whimper-like noise. I look at Sam at that moment, and although he's trying to seem calm, his fast breathing and fidgeting makes it quite obvious he's nervous. I look out the window to my right to find the other van now driving right next to us. Heath and Jack roll down their windows, get their guns out, and begin shooting. There's a lot of that in this story, and in my stories in general. The van just drives right by, unaffected by the bullets, and that's when the van lines up with ours in such a way that the backseat windows and one of theirs are lined up perfectly. The other van's windows roll up, and he shoots right through our window. I let out a small scream out of instinct, and so does Avery. As if he was trained for this moment, the first man grabs a hold of Sam and transfers him between vans. I try to keep him in the van, but the men in the other van are much stronger than I am, and so my efforts are in vain. Then the man in our van pushes me aside and grabs Avery, then does the same with her. I scream, "Avalon, do something!" But that's when Avalon looks in her rearview mirror and sees who it is. She begins to swerve out of control for a brief second, as if out of panic. When she finally manages to regain control of our van, the other van is slowly beginning to advance past us. As a last resort, Heath begins shooting at the van once more, but none of his shots have any sort of an effect. Eventually, the van is out of range. Avalon slows her car down to a complete stop, and Jack nudges Heath in the shoulder and mutters, Nice aiming, asshat. Well, blame a guy for trying." Avalon. After I stop the car, I let out a small scream of frustration. I may or may not have also punched the rearview mirror. I park the car on a nearby curb and get out and sit down, deciding to take some time to cool off. Heath joins me, and he doesn't make my mood any better. "What the hell was that, Avalon?" "I know who those people are," I growl under my breath. "Wait, really?" Mackenzie asks as she, Jack, and Brielle sit down with us. "I know them like I know my own name," I yell. Heath, Mackenzie, I told you about my team, the ambush. Yeah, both Heath and Mackenzie nod. It was them. Wolf. They're a highly dangerous organization. Deadly. What do they want with Sam and Avery? Jack asks, scratching his head. I doubt he's actually confused, though. There's no way to know for sure. What I do know is that we need to hurry. Then come on, Brielle says urgently. On that note, we pile back into my van, and I begin driving. As I stare at the road ahead, I sigh. History has a tendency to repeat itself. I've been here for 45 minutes. I'm not even halfway through yet. This is going to be fun. Chapter 10. Sam. This time, Avery and I are not tied together. Guess they didn't have the time, lol. But we are monitored closely as we ride along in the new van. In the front of the van are 3 new spies. 2 of them are female, and 1 of them is male. One of the women is the driver, and the man pushes the button on the radio and begins talking. He talks in a whisper-like voice, but loud enough for Avery and I to understand what he's saying. This is Agents Leo, Libra, and Virgo. We found the escapees. Good work. Both of them? Yes, both of them. Return them to our headquarters at once. Affirmative. Over and out. Over and out. At the last second, I decide to yell, NERDS! And everyone in the van, including Avery, glares at me. Sorry, just had to say that, I mutter sheepishly. I could have made that say much worse, but MC didn't approve of it. Okay, why are you taking us? Avery asks in a demanding voice. That is none of your concern, the other woman replies sternly. Well, one way or another, we're going to find out, so you might as well tell us now, I shrug. I get no response. So instead, I look at Avery and attempt to flash her a reassuring smile. It doesn't work too well, as she tries to make it seem like she's smiling back at me, but really, I can tell that she's faking it. Sorry about Elle, she mutters, as if attempting to start a conversation. It's fine, I reply. I don't really mean it, and both she and I know that. Since I decide I have nothing better to do, I climb into the backseat of the van and lay down in an attempt to take a nap. I actually do doze off, and when I wake up, the first thing I hear is Avery's voice telling me, we're here. Well, that took a while. Avery and I make our way out of the van and stare at the large building ahead of us. It's almost like an apartment complex and the headquarters of an important business organization had a baby. As the 2 of us walk towards the entrance, I take Avery's hand. It isn't an attempt to make her feel weird, but rather a sign of support. Surprisingly, she chooses to intertwine her fingers with mine as well. Then we look at each other and exchange the same fake smiles we exchanged. You know what? Just forget about time for now. At the front door stands a guy who looks like he could slam me 3 feet into the ground without any issue. He's dressed like the typical security guards you would see patrolling a mall or something. Avery and I are forced to let go of each other for a short while. The guard first turns his attention to Avery and asks for her name. Avery, she answers snarkily, rolling her eyes. The guard shoots her a glare, and the agents shoot him one right back. The guard sighs and lets Avery advance. Then he asks me, name? Lindsay Lohan, I retort. Name? I let out a small sigh. Sam. He steps aside to let me advance. As I walk inside, I ponder to myself why asking our names was necessary, and the only conclusion I can come to is that it isn't. I swear some people are weird. Like me. Another understatement. Anyways, back on subject. I run to catch up with Avery, and we join hands again. We walk together as if we're 5-year-olds, except there isn't a parent in sight. Instead, there's Agents Leo, Libra, and Virgo leading us. Still don't know which is which. It's currently nighttime, so the activity around the building doesn't seem to be too high. Nevertheless, I can still see lights on in some of the rooms as we walk throughout the headquarters. Finally, Avery and I arrive at what is assumed to be our room. None of the agents say anything. They just open the door, let us walk inside, and then slam it shut. The room itself is, well, better than the last one we had. There's a few pieces of furniture, including 2 beds, thank God, a random couch, and an office chair. There's also a bathroom off to the side, which I decide I will examine later. Well, at least we have something in the room this time, Avery says, emitting a fake laugh. Yeah, except the room itself is gloomier, I mutter in reply. There pretty much isn't a single color in the room, aside from the 2 of us and our clothes, that isn't black, gray, brown, dark red, which is probably bloodstains, or green. The room's tidiness is non-existent, and it's in dire need of air freshener. In other words, our prison still sucks, just in a different way than last time. God, my throat hurts right now. I kind of want to explain this next POV because people are going to bitch about it if I don't. So, earlier I mentioned that Sam's girlfriend in these stories is Elle. Just for the record, I don't have an IRL girlfriend, never have. So, when I originally had this idea, what's about to happen in the next scene didn't exist. And I was lying in bed one night, and then all of a sudden I asked myself, what would happen if I put Sam and Avery together? Like, what would happen if I made them fall in love with each other? I knew immediately that this was probably a really dumb idea, so I decided I was simply going to experiment with it for this story and see if I liked it. I am going to warn you, some of these scenes are very cringy and a bit mature. But I actually kind of liked it, so I'm just going to go ahead and read them as they are. Avery. Sam and I sit down on a bed, and for a few seconds, neither of us say anything. We don't even look at each other. Finally, I ask Sam, why? Why what? Sam retorts. Why did you have to come after me? You could have saved yourself that way. Sam shrugs. Someone had to at least try to save your sorry ass. Well, guess what? I say, a hint of anger in my voice. To be fair, I am pretty pissed off at this point. It failed, and now you're here with me, and we barely have any chances of getting back home. I then decide to look at Sam, and his expression is nothing but hurt. He gets up off the bed and walks over to the bathroom without saying a word. Wait, Sam, I call out. Don't take it that way. He turns his head around sharply, and I can tell he's close to crying. I must have struck a nerve in him. Avery, just don't talk to me. At least I tried, he screams. Sam, I didn't mean it in that way. Well then, how did you mean it? I shrug. I don't know. I guess I shouldn't have said that at all. Yeah, you shouldn't have, Sam mutters. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to sit down and think about the fuck-up person I am. Again. He opens the bathroom door and is about to walk inside when I run up to him and put a hand on his shoulder. Sam, don't do that. You shouldn't beat yourself up over mistakes like this. It's not really your fault. Avery, you don't know what it's like to feel like you've done nothing but make a complete fool of yourself your entire life, Sam exclaims, starting to become hysterical. And this just proves it. Sam, just stop, I scream. You are not a screw-up. None of this is your fault. You sounded like it was earlier, he growls. I didn't mean it. I'm really sorry, Sam. I didn't want to hurt your feelings, I say. Sam, you're a great guy, and you and I both know that. Don't let something like this put you down. Besides, we'll get out of it. We always do. I even flash him a smile of reassurance. Sam wipes a lone tear sliding down his right eye. Thanks, Avery. I still feel bad for not thinking ahead and getting us both in trouble. And I guess I'm hurt with the news about Elle. He starts sniffling again. Oh, come here, I say, holding up my arms to him. In a situation like this, I know that a hug is something he can never resist, and this time is no exception. We embrace each other for a few seconds, and when I let go, I stare right into his eyes. And in that moment, two things come to my mind. One is the realization that in order for both of us to live through this, I couldn't just rely on him for everything. We needed to rely on each other. He needed me as much as I needed him to get through this. But I also felt sorry for him. When he brought up Elle, I couldn't help but take pity on him. I mean, Elle had no idea what happened to him, and as a result, she dumped him over nothing. A girl like that doesn't deserve a guy like this. I think about just telling him that, but knowing Sam's tendencies, he wouldn't believe it. Unless I could prove to him that he deserves better. And that's when an idea comes to my mind. An idea that I will probably debate with myself over for years to come. But it's the least I can do. With my arms still wrapped around Sam, I lean my head towards his. Surprisingly, he seems to know what I'm about to do almost immediately, and he does the same. And without a protest or even hesitation from either of us, our lips make contact. During those 5 seconds, I feel no regret. I don't even feel embarrassed. In fact, it's almost a pleasing experience. Now, of course, Sam isn't the guy I've dreamt about being with for years, but that doesn't stop me from actually enjoying this kiss. After we let go of each other, we stare at each other in silence for what feels like an eternity. We just kissed, Sam says, as if he doesn't believe it. Yeah, we did, I say back softly. I have my arms around his neck, and one of my hands is rubbing the back of it. In my defense, I can't help myself at this point. A few more seconds of silence pass. Then Sam whispers to me, let's agree to not speak of that to anyone else. Done and done. Little do I know that this is just the beginning, because apparently foreshadowing in present tense is possible. Third-person POV. Once Sam and Avery have been dealt with, Agents Leo, Libra, and Virgo are called to visit the main woman herself, Gemini. Ooh, so scary. We've got them here and in their room, Agent Leo explains. Perfect. Great work so far, Gemini sneers. So, when do you want us to move on in our plan? Agent Virgo asks. Within the next couple of days or so. I don't want us to progress too quickly, Gemini answers. With that, Agents Leo and Virgo leave, but Agent Libra stays behind. She says to Gemini, there's something you might need to know. And what might that be? When we recaptured Avery on the Complication, we ran into a meddlesome rescue team of some sort. They're only teenagers, but they have a record. Why are you telling me this? I assume they offer no hindrance, or you would have eliminated them on sight, Gemini says, looking at the case files on the table in front of her. I'm not finished. Does the name Avalon King sound familiar to you? Gemini looks up, her mouth twisting in a snarl. Yes, I remember her all too well. We believe she is the leader of the group, based on our prior knowledge. What are we going to do if they all show up here? Wait a second, I thought Heath was the leader. Gemini stares at Agent Virgo for a moment. What you've been trained to do. End them. Yeah. MC got on my case about this during this POV because I make Gemini too much like a cartoon villain, and in my defense, I suck at that. Okay, I'm gonna mute Mike again for a second. Alright, that's better. Chapter 11. Heath. Right now we are on the highway, and Avalon is pretty much doing all the work in terms of following the van. It is kind of weird, considering we lost sight of the van pretty much as soon as it drove away from us, yet Avalon seems to know what she's doing. Brielle's the first one to voice this thought. Avalon, how do you know where to go? I just do. I know these people all too well, Avalon answers. I look at Jack and we both shrug. I'm sitting in the passenger seat of Avalon's van, and I randomly decide to reach for the radio to find a good station to listen to. Almost as soon as I do, however, Avalon slaps my hand away. Driver picks the music, shotgun shuts its K-hole. Fine. Hey, grab the CD case from the glove box, she says, keeping her eyes on the road. The CD case? You still use CDs? Mackenzie laughs. Yeah? Is there a problem with that? Avalon replies. Well, CDs were like 2010 or somewhere around there, Jack smirks. I give him a fist bump. You all are such material people. Just get the CD case and pull out first disc, Avalon sighs. Grumbling to myself, I do as I am told. Avalon inserts the disc, then presses play. That is going to cost me a fortune to replace, Avalon frowns, glancing at the broken window. I guess it could have been worse, Brielle shrugs. At least I know that my insurance would have covered an actual crash. Wait, you have insurance? Mackenzie asks, looking betwazzled. Aren't you a little young for that? No, I'm really not. If I have my own car, I have my own car insurance. It's that simple. How did you not know that? Makes sense. Afterwards, we pretty much drive in silence, with the exception of some Fall Out Boy song with an extremely long title playing from the speakers. Eventually, Jack decides to ask, So, Avalon, you say this is a pretty dangerous organization we're after, correct? That's correct. So just how do you think we can stop them? If I knew that, we'd have done so by now. That's when I look in the rearview mirror and notice a car quickly approaching from behind. Okay, I probably shouldn't eat right before I start reading something. Mackenzie. By this point, we are off the highway and on a, for the most part, deserted road. Avalon swerves back and forth a few times and takes every possible alternative path whenever necessary, but the car is still following us closely. Eventually, Avalon enters a nearby empty McDonald's parking lot and spinning out slightly by accident. Holy fuck, she sighs. The other car pulls up right beside us, and out hop 3 men. Everyone stay in the car, Avalon says as she unbuckles her seatbelt. I take a look at Heath and Jack, and both of them have their hands in their pockets, as if ready to quick draw any second. Heath, you know how to drive, right? Avalon whispers. Heath nods quickly in reply. Good. When I get out of the car, you're getting into the driver's seat. Done and done. The men walk towards us, and when Brielle opens the door to step out, when Avalon opens the door to step out, Brielle, being the naive one, asks the silly question of, who are you and what do you want? Brielle, shut the fuck up. I'm handling this, Avalon growls. Avalon King. It certainly has been a while, a tall man with red hair says. Oh yes, it certainly has, Avalon mutters. Give back Avery, Brielle yells. I immediately shush her to shut her up. A dark-haired man approaches Brielle's window and gives her a deadly glare. You must be Avery's older sister. Brielle, correct? Brielle nods, a frightened expression on her face. Don't talk to her, Avalon says sternly. Still haven't resolved the attitude, I see, the redhead laughs. The other two men snicker with him. Would you lot please stop being a bunch of fucking idiots for a good 2 minutes? That'd be bloody brilliant, Avalon yells, following it with a sigh. Hey, Brielle, we have a news flash for you. It'll be a bloody day in hell before you see your sister and her friend again, the dark-haired man laughs. What did I just say? She is not involved in this conversation. You act like we care about what you say. Well, you should. I have a deal to make. The three spies look at each other, and then the blondie, who hasn't spoken yet, says, Go on. I don't know what you want Avery for, but I'm sure you'd rather get rid of me. So here's the deal. Avalon takes a deep breath. I will take Sam and Avery's place if you let them go. Another exchange of glances is passed between the three men. Then they look back at Avalon, and the redhead tells her sternly, if that's the case, you can talk to Gemini about that. You know where we are. With that, the three men pile back into their car and drive away. As Avalon reclaims her seat, Heath asks her, Avalon, are you sure that was the smart thing to do? As of right now, it's our best shot, she shrugs as she starts the van up again. Chapter 12. Sam. I have just taken a shower. Surprisingly, these people have everything I need to take a proper shower, and even electric razors, I hate normal ones, for shaving. After throwing my clothes on and doing a quick shave, I leave the bathroom to find Avery lying on the bed. Man, I feel much cleaner now, I laugh. She laughs too. You know, isn't it weird how out of all things they could make convenient for us, they chose the bathroom? Kinda, Avery shrugs. Now where were we? I sneer, my eyes beginning to narrow. Avery giggles as I leap on the bed and lie next to her. I turn over on my side to face her, and she does the same. Yes, this feels incredibly weird, but since we're being held captive, we decided anything could go between us for the time being. And if that means makeout sessions, then so be it. I wrap my arms around her waist, and she wraps hers around my neck. Our heads inch closer together, and right before our lips can touch, a weird-sounding voice calls out, Hey, you two got a minute? Avery and I both turn our heads to find a random guy standing in our doorway. We're in the middle of something here, I respond bluntly. No, it's fine. This'll only take you guys a minute, the guy tells us. I look at Avery and she shrugs. So we both get up off the bed and follow the guy to what I assume is his room. When we arrive in his room, the first thing I take note of is how well the place was made for him. Posters are hung up everywhere, and he's got himself a couch, a TV, and even a fireplace. Don't ask why I feel like this is important. The guy motions for Avery and I to take a seat on his couch, and he stands in front of us as if preparing a speech. You're Sam and Avery, right? The new ones? The guy starts. Both of us nod. I've heard of you guys around here, he nods. There's a bit of a raspiness to his voice. Where are we, anyways? Avery asks, looking around the room for no reason. Louisiana, because we're better to place hostages than Hurricane Central, the man laughs. Anyways, I've got a deal for you. Go on, Avery says, although she sounds a little nervous. Some people are here for good reasons. I'm one of those people, the man laughs, taking a seat in a nearby chair. But you two aren't. And you two have something not many people here have, and that's guts. Thanks, I say sarcastically. Look, my point is, you two are going to bust out of here, and I'm going to help you do it. Avery and I look at each other, and then at the guy, confused. Okay, first of all, if you're going to break us out of here, then why aren't you doing the same for yourself, I ask. He shrugs. Like I said, I'm here for a logical reason, and you aren't. Okay then, Avery mutters. Well, thank you for the offer, but we have friends who we know are looking for us right now. Mm-hmm, the guy says. He stares out a nearby window, which I didn't even realize existed until now. I've heard about your friends, too. Really? I ask, even though I don't need to. Yep, and so... I should say have. And so... and... so... Yep, and so have the people here. Defenses are at an all-time high. If your friends show up, they won't last a single minute, he explains. But they don't know that. They won't be ready, Avery points out. Which is why we have to get you to them first, the guy tells us. Now, listen here, because I've got a plan that should work. I look at Avery once more, and she seems to be thinking what I'm thinking. This is a long shot, but it could very well be worth it. God, I'm gonna be dead by the end of this. Chapter 13. L. I'm at home, lying on my bed, staring up at the ceiling. I'm currently thinking about all this bullshit I'm going through with Sam. Maybe I should have let Heath explain, but it's too late now. Then there's a rapping at my door. Come in, I sigh. In walks my friend, Skylar. Hey, Al, she says, smiling as she sits on my bed next to me. Hi, is all I can say back. She shifts a little bit, as if she's nervous for what she's about to say next. She has good reason to be, too. Listen, I'm here because I wanted to ask how you're coping with this whole Sam business. I hold up a hand. Stop right there, Skylar. I don't want to hear another word about that double-crossing bastard. Skylar looks at me like I'm acting like a complete lunatic. Elle? Do you not know? Not know what? I exclaim, my voice beginning to raise in frustration. Oh, for goodness sake, Skylar mutters, face palming. Sam was kidnapped along with Avery. My heart stops for a brief second. My God. Really? Yes, really. Did you seriously not know? No, nobody told me. Skylar gives me another funny look. Seriously? No one told you? Not one person. But you're Sam's girlfriend. Why wouldn't you be told about this? I asked Heath the other day at lunch, and he clammed up and wouldn't say anything. He made me think Sam was trying to avoid me. Skylar shrugs. To be fair, you should have realized it when Sam disappeared around the same time as Avery. I give her a no-dur look and mumble, touche. Now, my question is, why in the hell would Heath not bother to tell me? Maybe he was afraid of you freaking out about it, Skylar says sheepishly. All I can do at this point is sigh. I've taken what Skylar said, and to be quite honest, it kinda hurts. It's absolutely wrong of Heath to assume that I would have overreacted and not tell me for that reason. And then an idea comes to my mind. I leap off of my bed and make a mad dash for the front door of my house. Skylar follows me, calling out after me, Elle, where are you going? I don't answer her until I'm outside. I wave my left arm and whistle. Doing those two things combined signals a hoverboard 8500 that Sam happens to be in possession of. Normally, Sam is its master, but it recognizes everyone in our group, and I've seen him pilot the thing enough times to have an idea of how to work it properly. And sure enough, within 5 seconds, the hovercraft's at my side. By this point, Skylar has joined me outside, and she asks me bewilderedly, Elle, what do you think you're doing? I step on the hovercraft while explaining to her my plan. Sam and Avery need rescuing, don't they? Yeah, but Heath's already organized a search team. That bastard, I mutter under my breath. Well, if he thinks I'm too childish to join, then I'll just find them myself. That'll show him. Okay then, Skylar sighs. Wanna join? Thanks, but no thanks, she answers, throwing in a laugh. Alright, I guess I'm off, I say boldly as I get the hovercraft ready for flying. Here goes. Good luck, Skylar yells to me, waving. I give her a small salute back, and then I begin flying. Sam and Avery, here I come. Third-person POV. As Skylar watches Elle fly off into the distance, she waits until Elle is out of hearing range, and then whispers to herself, You're going to need all the luck you can get, my friend. Then she walks back to her car. Your friend to go to SR has just started watching. Hey, guys. Chapter 14, Avery. It is 7:30 p.m. The sun is beginning to set on the horizon. Sam and I meet up with the guy helping us, who apparently is named Andrew, and he leads us through the hallways until we come across a huge section of the wall that was slightly darker than the rest. Andrew touches a small spot on the wall, and it slides downwards, revealing a ladder. Cool, Sam says, nodding his approval. Yeah, one guy who was imprisoned here tried to escape by using this ladder, but he was caught. They plan to fill the space with cement, but they haven't gotten to it yet. Now go, go! Sam jumps to the ladder and begins hurrying up it, and I follow quickly. The ladder takes us to a trapdoor, which, when we open it, leads to the roof of the building. The moment Sam and I both have our feet planted on the roof, we hear cries of, Stop them! From below. And that's when Sam and I burst into a sprint across the roof. Only a few seconds into our run, however, my right foot sinks into something in the roof, and I fall forwards. As I get up, I discover my foot stuck in a vent grating on the roof. Because, the more stuck seems the better. Sam! I call out. He stops running and turns around to find me in my current state. Oh, for crying out loud, he yells, running back to me. For a few seconds, he tries to get my foot free, but without any success. By then, I can see the heads of the spies beginning to pop up through the roof. Okay, screw this, Sam mutters. He yanks the grating out of the roof, picks me up, and then runs while carrying me. Eventually, we reach a ledge and drop to a lower level on the roof, which is when I begin running normally again. It feels awkward, however. Soon, we reach the first instance where we have to leap from one roof to the next, but one of my shoelaces gets caught on the grating, preventing me from stopping. I don't know how that makes sense. I begin to stumble and nearly fall off the roof, but hands grab me from around the waist and pull me back just in time. Thanks, Sam, I pant. Afterwards, we take our first leap. It's almost like a high-intensity action movie, but the thing is, this is real life. There's no stunt doubles in real life. And it's not like we've been well-trained for this moment. But I needn't have worried, since both Sam and I make it without a problem. What are the odds? Our second jump is a low riskier. Okay. Sam attempts it first and manages to get a hand on the ledge, but since his upper body strength, well, sucks, he seems to have issues getting himself up. The soldiers behind me are advancing quickly towards me, so I need to make a move fast. I quickly yank the grate off of my foot and use it as a weapon against the soldiers. It's not terribly effective, but it gives me enough time. I steal a rope from one of the soldiers. Apparently they're soldiers now and not spies. And in the time span of about 5 seconds, I throw one end to the roof, which Sam is somehow able to use to get himself up. Then he grabs a hold of the rope and I swing to the other side. Well, I was hoping for something a little more dramatic, but I guess that works too, Sam shrugs once I land. At that moment, guards come rushing in from both sides, surrounding us. Looks like you guys are fresh out of roof, one of them sneers, pounding a crowbar into his hand. But all this means for us is to move on. That should be is to move on to the next step of the plan. I look at Sam and flash him a wink, and he flashes me one back. We stand at the edge of the roof as all the guards stare at us, weapons ready for use. And then Sam and I fall backwards, straight off the edge of the roof. To the guards, it probably seems like a suicide attempt. But really, Andrew was smart and was able to find a mattress for us to land on, cushioning our fall. We made it, I scream. Despite the excitement, we have no time to lose. Sam and I leap off the mattress and instantly begin running. Unfortunately, our progress is hindered when a group of spies come out of nowhere and block our path. Sam and I turn around, and all we find are more guards. Brilliant, Sam mutters sarcastically. Sam and I are taken back into the headquarters by the spies. At one point, we walk past Andrew, who's sitting on the floor as if he's ready to be executed. Sam yells, "You tricked us!" to him, to which Andrew fires back with, "That's a lie." "Knock it off, kid. All three of you are in deep enough shit as it is," the man holding Sam growls. After that, I look at Sam and he looks back at me. This time, neither of us are smiling. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I thought that was a somewhat decent POV. Alright. I'm gonna run out of water soon. Chapter 15, Jackson. We have been on the road for well over 6.5 hours, although we stopped every now and then for breaks. Since then, we've been on the same stretch of road for a while. "Avalon, where are you even going?" Brielle asks for the umpteenth time. "I've already told you, haven't I? I know where we can stay for the night," Avalon replies. "You know this part of the country quite well," Heath nods. "How is that? I had a mission here a few years ago." "How much longer do we have until we get to where we're going?" I ask, groaning. "It's been a long day with little to no action. We'll be there any minute. Stop whining," Avalon says, sighing. "Jack, I'd recommend shutting up. Avalon's not a person you want to piss off, if you haven't noticed," Mackenzie whispers to me. I nod and have to force myself to hold back a snicker. "I heard that." After another half hour has passed, we finally pull into the parking lot of some hotel. Don't hotels cost money?" Mackenzie asks as we get out of the van. "I have a contact here that can get us a free stay if they know we're on a mission," Avalon answers. I am about to ask how we're expected to even get into the hotel, but my inner gut tells me that's probably not a good idea. Instead, I nudge Heath and whisper to him, had I known we were going to stay at a hotel, I would have brought extra clothes. But apparently that's a better alternative. Then we both start cracking up before Avalon shoots us a deadly look and gets us to shut up. Apparently that's funny. "Let's get going," she says, putting the car in park. We walk through the front doors into the hotel lobby. A lady at the desk notices us and asks, "Do you have an adult with you?" "No, I need to speak to Daniel, please," Avalon says. "Of course, I'll go get him." The lady nods before walking away from the desk. A few minutes later, a teenage boy with dark brown hair approaches. I look to Avalon and notice a wide smile is plastered on her face. "Well, if it isn't little Avalon," the boy exclaims. "It's good to see you, Daniel. It's been forever, hasn't it?" Avalon grins. "It really has," Daniel nods. "So what exactly can I help you kids with today?" "We're in a bit of a situation. I'll explain it later, but long story short, we need somewhere to stay for the night," Avalon explains. Daniel raises an eyebrow, but nods. "I can help you guys out," he smiles. "When were you going to introduce me to your friends?" "Alright, guys, this is my brother, Daniel," Avalon says. "Wait, you have a brother?" Heath asks, surprised. Avalon ignores his comment, continuing the introduction. The one who asked the stupid question is Heath. Then we have Mackenzie, Jack, and Brielle. "Nice to meet you," both Brielle and Mackenzie say as they wave at Daniel. Well, any friends of my baby sister are friends of mine, Daniel smiles. I'm not a baby, Daniel. We've talked about this, Avalon sighs. Whatever. I'll get you guys taken care of. Just hang out in the lobby for a sec, Daniel says, and we walk away from the desk. Avalon. After Daniel leads us to our rooms, he pulls me aside to talk about what's going on. Why exactly are you here, Avalon? I have to say, you guys are a little young to be traveling across the country on your own. It's a rescue mission, I reply. 2 of our friends were taken recently. They were kidnapped by Wolf, but none of us know why yet. Avalon, you're getting involved with Wolf again. Don't you remember? All too well, Daniel. But I wasn't going to let them do this alone. I'm the only one who knows what's really going on, I sigh. I know. I'm just worried, that's all. Hold on, what's up? Sorry about that. I'm the only one who knows what's really going on, I sigh. I know. I'm just worried, that's all, Daniel says before looking at the watch on his wrist. It's getting pretty late, kid. You should get some sleep. That really isn't necessary. It is. Go to bed. You can text me if you need anything. Fine, I sigh, realizing my arguments are bound to fail. Good night, Daniel. I walk back into the room to find that everyone is already asleep. There are 2 beds in the room, but I choose to sleep on the couch, which has a pull-out bed. I lay down, closing my eyes, but I can't fall asleep. Sighing, I stand back up and grab my phone from my bag before stepping into the hallway. Wasn't expecting that to take long, I hear Daniel's voice a few seconds later. Shut up, I couldn't sleep. You know I have insomnia, I mutter. Right, of course. What's up? It's complicated. Really, really complicated. What is it? Remember what I told you about earlier? About the rescue mission and Wolf and everything? What about it? There's something I forgot to mention, I sigh. Avalon, just tell me, Daniel says, becoming more serious. Well, you see, I made a deal with Wolf, saying I would trade myself for our friends. You did what? I know. I'm stupid. You don't have to say it because I already admitted it myself. I'm not losing anyone else, Daniel. I can't. Avalon, what were you thinking? You know exactly what I was thinking, Daniel. I have to go. I'm leaving in the morning before anyone wakes up. Keep an eye on things for me, please. I promise I'll figure something out, I say quickly before heading back into the room. I lay back on the couch and sigh, and as soon as I do, my phone rings again. I answer it and hiss quietly, What? You should know who this is, Miss King. Oh, you. I was expecting a call sooner, Gemini, I mutter. I was told about your deal you wanted to make with me. Long story short, it's not going to happen. What do you mean, not going to happen? It's a fair trade, Gemini. They mean nothing to you, I hiss. There's 2 things you need to know. One is that they mean more to us than you probably know, and 2, the little imbeciles tried to pull a fast one on us and made an attempt to escape. Damn it, those morons, I whisper, exasperated. For once I agree with you on something, Gemini laughs. Shut the fuck up, bitch. Oh, gladly. I've got better things to do anyways. Silence on the other end. Grimacing in anger, I grab the keys to my van and storm out of the hotel room, while at the same time being careful to not wake Brielle or Mackenzie. I take the elevator down to the front lobby and exit without saying a single word to anyone. With the night sky gazing down upon me, I walk quickly and quietly to my van, hop inside, and shut and lock the doors. I jam my keys into the ignition, then crank up the volume of my speakers. I press play and let the music from my CD fill the car. I pull out of the parking lot, unsure of a destination. All I know is that I just need to get away. Alright. Okay, no. We can't show that yet. Okay, how far can I move this downwards? Okay, that's good. Chapter 16, third person POV. Hold on one sec. Agent Cancer strolls right into Gemini's office, uninvited, saying, Gemini, there's something I'd like to discuss with you. Agent Cancer, what have I told you about the protocol for entering my office? Gemini scowls, glancing up slowly to look at Agent Cancer. Right. Anyways, I came because I wanted to know what you were planning on doing with our 2 new captives. Have I not explained this before? I don't think I was in the room when you were explaining it to everyone else. Well, whose fault is that? How about you start showing up to important meetings from now on? Then you'll have the information. I do not repeat myself, Gemini snarls. I guess that's another way of saying, get the fuck out of here? Agent Cancer asks, stepping towards the doorway. You did not leave until you are dismissed. Perhaps you need to be sent back into training, Cancer? No, ma'am. Good. You're dismissed, Gemini nods. Okay. I just want to say, the next POV was more experimentation. This is also the only reason MC forced me to rate the story mature on Wattpad. God. Okay, I knew this was going to have to come eventually. Here we go. Okay, let's do it. Avery. What if I told you I'm currently stripped down to my bra and shorts, and I'm also making out with Sam, who happens to be shirtless? Would you believe me? No? Too crazy to believe? Well, too bad. It's happening right now. We're currently on our bed, Sam lying on top of me as our makeout session is going in full force. When Sam releases himself for me to take a breath, he says, "You know, I've always thought about doing this with Elle someday, and now that I'm doing it with you, it just feels weird." "Yeah. You want to stop?" I ask softly. He's in thought for a quick moment. "Nah, fuck it." Then he rolls over so he's next to me, wraps his arms around my midsection, and pulls me closer to him. Out of habit and instinct, I begin giggling. "What's that? You find this weird?" Well, when you're being held captive together, there's not a whole lot else you can do to entertain each other. After going at this for about 5 minutes, we are interrupted by a stern, "Excuse me, but you have been requested to come with us." Sam and I immediately turn our attention to our door. Standing there are 3 of the agents, none of whom look too happy to see what we're doing. Can it wait? We're sort of busy here," Sam says, looking between me and the agents. "No, it cannot. Get some clothes on and come with us at once." The 3 agents then begin walking away from the room, and I take a glance at Sam. We make eye contact for about a second, then he sighs as he pulls his shirt on. I do the same, and then we run to catch up to the agents. As we walk through the hallway, Sam eventually asks, "Where are you taking us?" "I'll be revealed in due time. Until then, keep your mouth shut," one of the agents, who, if I recall, is Virgo, replies sternly. Finally, we stop in front of an unmarked door. As one of the agents pulls out keys to unlock the door, I ask, "Why did you take us here?" "To hand out your punishment for trying to escape," Agent Virgo answers. Then she and one of the men grab Sam by the arms and haul him inside. "You first." The door slams shut, but there's a small window that allows me to see what's going on inside. I look through the window and instantly regret it. The 3 agents have Sam laid down on some sort of mattress, and they're beating on him. It's absolutely painful for me to watch. My hands are thrown to my face as I stare through the window in disbelief. I flinch at every punch thrown. At one point, they shove him off the bed and begin laughing about it. I gasp, following that with a quiet squeal, and then try to force myself to look away, but I can't. The entire time, the agents are yelling things like, "This is what you get," or "Next time you'll think twice before trying to pull a fast one on us." "No!" I cry out, placing my hands on the window as I continue to watch the beating in horror. Finally, when I decide that I've had enough, I push the door open and run to Sam's assistance. Sam. Okay, so I've seen and heard plenty of stories where parents have been beating their kids, or just simply about beatings in general, but I never thought I'd experience one myself. All I can say is, pain, and lots of it. However, the 3 agents stop beating on me when I feel a body jump on top of me and I hear a voice shout, "Stop!" Just an FYI, my eyes are closed, ATM. "Avery, please, now is not a good time," I try to tell her, but she just ignores me. "Young lady, I suggest that you leave this instant," one of the men says fiercely to Avery. "No, I'm not leaving him," Avery screams. "You have no right to do this to him. We have every right. You don't get to choose what we do here," Agent Virgo, the only one I recognize, growls at Avery. "And you're next if you don't get out of here." "Fine, go ahead. Beat me instead," Avery yells. "Just don't hurt Sam any further. He already has to deal with enough crap as it is. He doesn't need this, too." I want to say, actually, that's not really true, but since it's rare that Avery ever tries to defend me, I decide keeping my mouth shut is the best idea. The other man looks at Avery and says to her, "Fair enough." Then he shoves Avery into a wall. I see Avery's eyes shut as if she's expecting the worst to happen. Then Virgo tells the other agents, "Taurus, Scorpio, Gemini's calling us in." The man holding Avery, who I believe is Scorpio, judging by who Virgo looked at when she said their names, releases her, and the 3 agents begin storming out of the room. Right before Taurus leaves, he turns to us and tells us, "We're not finished with you 2 just yet." Actually, I don't want to move on to the next page quite yet. I am almost out of water. That is not good. With that, Taurus slams the door shut. Immediately, Avery runs over to me as I slowly pour myself into a sitting position, wincing from pain. Actually, it doesn't hurt that bad, TBH. It's at this time that Avery and I make eye contact again. Tears are streaming down her face as she looks at me with more concern than she's ever shown me. In fact, I think this is the first time I've ever seen her cry. "I'm so sorry, Sam," she screams as she begins bawling her eyes out. "Avery, there's nothing you need to apologize for. You didn't do anything," I tell her. I'm able to rub her shoulder as a sign of reassurance. But I could have done something. I could have helped you. I could have prevented them from doing this to you, she sobs. There's nothing you could have done, I say. Nothing you could have said or done would have kept me from putting me in pain like this. Avery doesn't say anything in reply. Instead, her lip begins to quiver. Then she lets herself fall face first into the ground in one of the biggest crying fits I've ever seen from anyone. I think I even noticed her tears beginning to collect into a small puddle. Avery, it's okay, I soothe, crawling over to her and giving her shoulder rubs, which I'm somehow good at. Don't beat yourself up over something that isn't your fault. You don't understand, she moans as she turns to face me. Her face is beginning to turn an incredibly bright red, and her cheeks are tear-streaked multiple times. Don't understand what? Avery takes a deep breath, then begins explaining. Sam, I don't know how else to say this. Just say what you want to say. I like you. It takes me a second to process that information. Really? As in, like? I asked. Yes, and I'm not just saying that, Avery says, wiping away the tears currently coming out of her eyes. You see, Sam, I guess all this time we spent being held captive together, it's just really drawn me closer to you. I don't know. I know I sound silly, but no, Avery, I understand. And, since I don't seem to have a chance of ever seeing Elle again, and for the same reasons you just told me, I guess I like you too, I say to Avery. That's when Avery wraps her arms around me and the bawling begins again. I myself feel a couple of tears begin to fall down my cheeks as well. You know, when Avery and I were first kidnapped, I was expecting it to be another one of those times. Now, I don't have high hopes for what's in store for us. And I'm not someone who usually says that. Ever. Still a better love story than Twilight. Yeah, that was kind of cringy, but it worked out. Anyways. Chapter 17, Elle. After a few hours of searching around the area with the hovercraft, I finally have come across something of interest. All it is a simple building, but it's out in the middle of nowhere and I have no other leads to go off of. Naturally, I decide to give it a look. Oh, and before you ask, yes, the hovercraft has the ability to track down people. I tried using it for Sam and Avery, but it wasn't able to find them. Areas with large bodies of water or too dense of trees jam the hovercraft's GPS sensors, making it unable to locate who it's looking for. I park the hovercraft next to the building and grab a gun from the glove compartment. Why the hovercraft has a glove compartment, I have no idea. I then walk up to the door, kind of like an FBI agent would when they're about to go inside and arrest somebody. When I feel like the time is right, I push open the door and run inside, ready to shoot. Except all I find is a couch, a TV, a busted window, and 2 unconscious bodies. I check to see who they are, and they're just 2 men. Thank God, I muttered to myself, breathing a sigh of relief. I almost thought the bodies were Sam and Avery. For a second, I pushed that thought out. I almost thought the bodies were Sam and Avery. For a second, I pushed that thought out of my head and tell myself I need to focus on searching for any more clues. Another door is wide open within the building, so I check the room it leads to. The room contains absolutely nothing. No furniture, no windows, nothing. I do, however, notice an air vent with its cover slightly loose. I take a closer look to examine, just out of curiosity. An attempt at escape, but must not have worked out, I nod. Knowing how smart Sam is in these scenarios, it was probably Avery who attempted that. Yeah, because I'm smart. When it comes to that. As I exit the room, I hear a beeping from nearby. The beeping comes from the hovercraft, who motions for me to come to it. I get down on the ground next to it, and the screen flashes a series of messages and images. Basically, it tells me that it found some fingerprints, scanned them, and pinned them together with Sam's. Okay, this thing is much more complicated than I thought, I mutter. So they were here, but they must have escaped. Where are they now? My answer comes from a small card sticking out of one of the man's coat pockets. I grab it and look at it, and see the word Wolf on it in big letters. I come to the conclusion that Wolf is some sort of organization that these 2 men are a part of. My next move is going to Google Maps on the hovercraft's computer and looking up Wolf's headquarters. To my luck, I'm able to find it all the way down in Louisiana, which happens to be right above the Gulf of Mexico, aka a huge body of water. Oh my goodness, I put geography in the story. Aha! I yell in triumph. I place the card back where I found it and run outside with the hovercraft. As I'm setting the coordinates for it to take me, I whisper to myself, I'm coming for you, guys. After that, I set the hovercraft into plane mode, and it blasts off towards Louisiana at full speed. Next stop, Sam and Avery. Okay. I actually thought that was a somewhat decent chapter. Okay, this chapter is really good. I think MC did a majority of this one, and I just kind of added in whenever we needed to advance it. Okay, my water bottle's empty now. After this chapter, I'm probably going to go get a new one. But this is a pretty long chapter. Chapter 18, Brielle. Brielle, wake up! I'm rudely awakened by Mackenzie shouting at me. Ugh, what? I'm trying to sleep, I mutter. Avalon is gone. She was here last night, and now suddenly she's just gone. Poof! Seriously? Where could she have gone? I sigh, sitting up. I look at the clock on my phone. It's 7 in the morning. I don't know. Maybe I should try calling her, Mackenzie suggests. Maybe she's just getting breakfast? I'm pretty sure they do offer it at this hotel, I say, setting my feet on the ground. I see Mackenzie pull out her phone and dial Avalon's number. Meanwhile, I stand up, stretching. A few moments later, Mackenzie lets out an exasperated sigh. She didn't answer. This is just great, she yells before storming out of the room. I follow her and watch as she goes to the door of the room Heath and Jack are staying in and proceeds to bang on the door loud enough to wake up the entire hotel. Mackenzie, calm down, I exclaim as the door to the room swings open. Dude, what is your problem? Heath mumbles, glaring at Mackenzie. My problem is that Avalon apparently disappeared in the middle of the night, and now she won't answer her phone, she says. Brilliant. That's the last thing we need right now. Jack, Heath calls out. Jack's by his side a few seconds later. What's with all the ruckus out here? Avalon isn't here and Mackenzie won't stop freaking out, I explain. Did anyone check to see if the van is still in the parking lot? Jack asks. That's probably a good place to start, Heath tells us. Now come on. We walk down the hall, then step into the elevator. I press the button that takes us to the lobby. I bet you guys everything will be fine. The van will be in its place, and we'll find out Avalon's phone just died or something like that, I say, trying to calm Mackenzie down. And if it isn't, Mackenzie asks frantically. Just don't jump to any conclusions, Heath says. Long story short, we find that Avalon's van is, in fact, not present where it was in the parking lot. See? She's not here, Mackenzie exclaims, freaking out. Hey, maybe Daniel knows what's going on? I suggest. We walk back inside and find Daniel standing at the front desk. What's all the noise about? Is something going on? He asks. Avalon isn't here. We woke and she was just gone. She isn't answering her phone and her van is gone. You know where she might be? Mackenzie asks. No, I don't. But whatever it is can't be good. She told me last night that she was making a deal with Gemini. That can't be it. Last night, I woke up and I heard her on the phone. She was talking to Gemini and her trade was turned down, I say, drawing the attention of everyone else in the group. And you didn't mention this earlier, Mackenzie says. I didn't realize that was the conversation at the time, I reply, putting my hands on my hips. Do you remember her leaving? Daniel asks. I don't know. Maybe. Guys, I was half asleep, remember? Well, at least we know she didn't go through with that dumb idea, Heath sighs. That doesn't tell us where she is, though. Mackenzie's cut off by Daniel's cell phone ringing. It's Avalon, he says, quickly answering the call. Throughout the call, he continues nodding, occasionally furrowing his brow in a worried expression. I look at Mackenzie and her face is nothing but fear the entire time. I'm just glad you're okay. I'll come pick you up, Daniel says, then hangs up. What is it? Mackenzie asks, panicking. She's fine, but, well, she got into a crash. Whoa, for real? Jack says, surprised. Yeah, I guess so, Daniel sighs. I need to go pick her up. I don't have very much space in my car, so only 2 of you can come along. Mackenzie, I'm going to assume you're one of those 2? Mackenzie nods. I'll come along too, Heath volunteers. Alright, are you too cool with staying hanging here? Daniel asks. We should be fine, Jack says. Great, let's get going. Heath. While riding with Daniel and Mackenzie, I notice that Mackenzie keeps fidgeting in her seat. Okay, I know you're worried about Avalon and all, but seriously, you're starting to become a little bit annoying. Shut up, Heath, Mackenzie says, glaring at me. Hey, both of you, knock it off. Now's not the time for arguments, Daniel interrupts. A few minutes later, we're about to turn onto a highway when Mackenzie tells Daniel, back up, back up, back up. Mackenzie, I know. She told me where she was. Daniel sighs as he pulls into the closest parking lot. The 3 of us then leave Daniel's car and run to where Avalon and her van are. Apparently she somehow drove into a ditch. Well, we found her, I smirk. Don't be so insensitive, Mackenzie growls, staring at me as if she's about to slap me. Guys, what did I literally just say? Both of you, stop. Heath, show some maturity, please, Daniel says, once again interrupting the argument. By this point, we're almost at where Avalon is, so I yell, Hey Avalon, we're here. No immediate response. Avalon? Mackenzie says in confusion. We walk up to her to find her sitting on the edge of the ditch, seemingly unharmed physically, but she's shaking intensely. You okay, sis? Daniel asks, sitting down next to Avalon. That's when she does something I've never seen her do. She begins to cry. Avalon. Avalon? What's wrong? Mackenzie asks softly, taking a seat on the other side of me. Oh god, I have to try to somehow act sad. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, I say through my tears. My plan, it failed, and now they're still with them. With those awful people, and they're not safe. Avalon, hey, calm down. It's okay, Daniel responds quietly, wrapping his arms around me protectively. It's not okay. They're not okay, I begin sobbing. I attempt to push Daniel away, but he doesn't let me. They're still with those monsters, and there's nothing we can do. Don't tell me it's okay. We're going to figure this out, Avalon. You don't need to feel responsible for any. That's what the organization told me the first time, I yell, interrupting Mackenzie. When I lost my entire team and my best friend to Wolf, they told me that I didn't need to feel responsible, but I'm the one who fucked it all up. After that, everything is silent. I don't remember falling asleep, but the next thing I know, I'm back on the couch bed in the hotel. Last time I remember checking the time, it was 7:23. I check my phone now, and it's 8:24. What? I sit up slowly, looking around. Avalon, it's just us, Brielle smiles. Shit, I hate sleeping. It makes me feel too vulnerable, I mutter groggily. Well, you needed it, Mackenzie says. So what happened last night, Brielle asks. It all started with a call with, well, I'm sure you already know all about that. After that, I just needed to get away, so I got in the van and just drove. I couldn't focus, though. It was like I was there in the moment, but I couldn't control anything. The next thing I know, my van is in a ditch, I explain. He's trying to remember all the important details. That's when I called Daniel. So what happens from here, Jack asks. I don't know, I say, looking at the ground. Why don't we get back on the road soon? First, we need to deal with getting the van back, I say. Already taken care of. Daniel walks back into the room, smiling. All right, then I guess we can move on. I sure hope my insurance covers this. Okay. This next part of the story, hands down, is the best part. Like, this is where MC completely destroyed Avalon and her character. This is where we just reveal everything about her. Alright, here we go. This is the best part of the story, IMO. Sorry, I had to swallow something real quick. The definition of insomnia is the inability to sleep. The definition of depression is having feelings of despondency and dejection. Post-traumatic stress disorder is a condition caused by trauma. I deal with all three, and each problem stems from Wolf. Unless the conditions are out of my control, I don't sleep. I'm paranoid. The definition of paranoia is constant suspicion or mistrust. It can lead to psychosis in some extreme cases. It's a good thing I'm not extreme. After losing my team, I stopped leaving my room. I wouldn't eat, I didn't stay hydrated, and I definitely didn't sleep. I wanted to die because it was my fault. No matter what anyone told me, it was my fault. PTSD is simple enough to understand. I experienced a trauma, and now look where I'm at. God, just seeing Brielle makes me feel guilty. Her sister is with Wolf, and she's in danger, and I can't do anything about that. I feel guilty for everything. I feel guilty, and so I get mad. I have to be the strong one. Someone has to keep their shit together, and that person used to be me. Now? I don't think so. But I don't need pity from my friends. If I suddenly become the emotionally fragile member of this team, I might go mad. I have to keep being strong, but strength comes in periods of time that come and go like the seasons. I kept it together for a good year, and now I'm letting them destroy my life again. Destruction is the action or process of causing so much damage to something that it no longer exists or cannot be repaired. Wolf destroys everything. They destroy peace, justice, hope, and more important and relevant, they destroy people and their sanity, and it's so hard to come back from something as fucked up as Wolf. They feel no remorse, ever. Evil is defined as something profoundly immoral and malevolent. Wolf is evil. Because of their actions, I lost everything important to me. My job at the organization, my courage, and my entire team. I lost my best friend that day. I lost my best friend because of my own false judgment and because of Wolf's malevolence. There's something I left out when Brielle asked me about the crash. I forgot to mention that I purposely swerved off of the road. I failed my team again, and I couldn't take it, and so I purposely drove the van into a ditch while trying to drown out everything with my music. I'm not even sure I'm mentally strong enough to continue this mission, but I have to. And if I don't, it'll be my own damn fault when something goes wrong. And it always does, and when it does, I'm supposed to fix it. I am the strong one, right? That's a pretty good POV right there. Okay, I'm gonna leave for a second because I need to get another drink. I have dropped 3,000 frames so far. Lovely. Alright. Chapter 19. Sam. Status update. Ready to die, and probably going to. It's been approximately 3 hours since my beating. They gave Avery a watch so she could keep track of time. Thank God. And right now, Avery and I are just laying... Change that. Just laying on one of our beds, exhausted. Ugh, where are they? Avery moans. By the way, they is referring to our friends. Avery, I'm sure they'll be here any time now, I tell her weakly. Oh, how cute. You two still have hope? A voice laughs from the doorway. Avery and I turn our heads to find a formal-looking woman standing in our doorway. Of course, I say not so convincingly. Haven't you figured out by now that good always prevails over evil? How precious. Do you actually believe that crap? It is not crap. We have friends who are going to show up for us, Avery yells in defense. Yeah, and when they do, they're gonna bust a cap in your ass, I add. Maybe I should let you in on a little secret. Good does not win over Wolf. Just ask your friend, Avalon. I'm sure she knows all about what we can do, she grins. Wait, Avalon knows you? I ask. Did she not tell you about me? I have to say, I'm quite offended. We had a little encounter a year or so ago. She worked for that stupid organization at the time. Let's just say poor little Avalon is the only one who lived to tell about it. Oh my god. That was you guys? I ask. Wait, what? Avery asks, confused. It's a long story. I'll tell you later. If Avalon is scared of us, then you have every reason to be as well, the woman says. You sure seem like one cruel bitch, I nod. You noticed? I'm flattered, honestly. You're probably not going to answer, Avery says, gritting her teeth. But why did you come after me in the first place? Gemini lets out an exasperated sigh, and there's silence in the room for what feels like a minute, but is actually only 12 seconds. Avery, do you even have a clue as to what your father does for a living? Yeah, he does woodshop stuff, Avery replies. For the record, I don't actually know what her dad does, if anything. Does he really? I was under the impression that he works a very important job for the government, Gemini, apparently I just figured out her name, lol, says. What? That can't be true. Oh, you didn't know? I suppose I've ruined the surprise. I hope you won't mind. Gemini grins evilly. So what the hell does this mean for us? I ask, not sure if I want to know the answer. What do you think the plan has been this entire time? We're going to kill you. Okay, that's a dumb idea for 2 reasons. One, holding her for ransom is definitely a better idea than just killing her. Second, what the hell did I do? I complain. Would you like me to kill you right here and now? If not, I suggest you shut your mouth right now. And my bluff has just been called, I say quickly as I take in what the woman tells me. Pardon me for interrupting, Avery says as politely as she can. But I myself would like to know why you're killing Sam when you were after me to begin with. When Gemini doesn't answer right away, she adds, if you're going to kill us anyways, you might as well tell us now. He is the more annoying one out of the 2 of you, Gemini answers, and quite bluntly. I can definitely agree with that. Hey, she can't control what I think. And on that note, I have other things to attend to. Have fun with your lives. There isn't much left of them. Gemini smirks. She doesn't even laugh after that. She just shuts the door. I'm really sorry, Sam, Avery says quietly to me when she's left. It's fine. You didn't know, I reply. With that, we embrace each other with nothing but silence to accompany us. There isn't a whole lot else to do at this point. Bible thump. God, I still have 20 more pages of this. Chapter 20, Jack. After another solid 6 hours of driving, we come across the location of what Avalon claims to be the main headquarters of Wolf. Well, geez, you'd think they'd make their location less obvious, Mackenzie mutters. So, what's the plan now? I ask as we all hop out of the van. Heath, who had driven us there, we decided it would be better for Avalon if she switched with him, answers, well, we go in there and unleash our biggest can of whoop-ass. But will that be enough? Avalon questions. Of course, I thought we've proven this to you already. I know what these people can do. Maybe what? Brielle asks nervously. Maybe I should go in on my own. I don't want to put you guys in any more danger, Avalon says. That's thoughtful of you, but do you really think that's a good idea? I mean, power numbers, Avalon, Mackenzie replies. Tell that to my team, Avalon grumbles. Oh wait, you can't. They're all fucking dead, aren't they? I guess there's no stopping you now, Heath shrugs. When Avalon doesn't immediately respond, I add on, good luck. Thanks. Hopefully I'll see you guys soon, Avalon smiles, then hops out of the van. How dangerous do you think Wolf really is? Brielle whispers to us as Avalon begins walking away. I guess we're gonna find out, is all I can answer with. Avalon. I approach the building with caution, keeping an eye out for any security cameras. To my surprise, I'm able to make it to the front door without too many issues. It's when I finally reach the front door that I hear footsteps coming from behind. I turn around to find 3 men, Agents Aquarius, Capricorn, and Sagittarius, I probably really mispronounced that, casually walking towards me. Well, you actually showed up, Capricorn laughs. Would you look at that? It's dumb, dumber, and dumbest, I scowl. Yeah, I actually showed up. Who were you expecting, Oprah? Would have been a more pleasing sight. Whatever, I don't have time for this bullshit. I'm kind of a busy person, I glare at the agents. Then let's get this over with. Shouldn't be too hard. Wasn't that hard with the rest of y'all? Aquarius smirks. All 3 men burst into a fit of laughter. You piece of shit, I growl, clenching my fist. Everyone on my team was young, and they had lives ahead of them. You're the monsters who took their futures away, and now they're resting peace knowing you bastards are dead. In a sudden burst of adrenaline, I lunge at Aquarius, catching him by surprise. While I have him down, Capricorn and Sagittarius are right behind me, ready to strike. Capricorn attempts to shove me away from Aquarius, but I use the momentum to push off of the ground, and my fist soon makes contact with his jaw. Sagittarius approaches, but I kick him backwards, knocking him down. In a matter of seconds, all 3 agents have recovered. Just give up already, Avalon. You're fighting a losing battle, Aquarius sneers. I'm only getting started, I smirk. As I say that, the 3 agents surrounded me very closely in a triangle-like formation. However, I kick Capricorn's feet out from underneath him, then grab him by the legs before either of the 2 agents have a chance to react. I spin Capricorn around counterclockwise, knocking down both Aquarius and Sagittarius in the process, and then I slam Capricorn down hard on the ground. This has been fun, but I've got places to be, I say as I stroll inside of Wolf's headquarters. For that part, MC and I kind of had a deal. The night before we wrote this, we kind of like got up early in the morning and I kind of brainstormed some ideas, writing down on pencil and paper. That's like one of the few times I've ever had to reuse pencil and paper in the actual writing. Anyways, go up, please. Since I have been in this building before, I know all too well where they keep their captives. I make my way down to that room as efficiently as possible. Anybody attempting to get in my way, I simply take out on my own. Finally, I reach the room where Gemini likes to hold her captives. As I stand with my back to the door, I take a couple of deep breaths to keep myself calm. When I feel ready, I kick open the door and barge into the room with a gun pointed, shouting, "It's over, Gemini." But the room is empty. What the? I say to myself as I search all over the room. Sure enough, there isn't a single trace of evidence. Of course. Leave it to Gemini to make my job harder, I grumble as I exit. Right as I leave, I bump into another person who is walking as if in a rush. Virgo, I growl. Avalon, what a pleasant surprise, Virgo says, a joking smile on her face. Wouldn't seeing me be unpleasant? No. It's a special treat that I might have the privilege to bring about your demise. Well, I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, I grin as I sock Virgo right in the jaw. I am able to do so in just the right way to knock Virgo to unconsciousness. After that, I make my way to an elevator. I find a random newspaper to hide my face behind as the doors open and 2 guards deeply involved in conversation step outside. I quietly step inside. One other agent, who I don't recognize, also happens to be writing. Just to be on the safe side, I quietly pull my gun out and shoot him in the back of the neck without warning. I get off on the 4th floor. To be fair, I don't have the slightest idea of where to go, but it doesn't hurt to at least try. While walking through this hallway, I walk past a room amid incredibly loud laughter. I take a peek inside the room and find 7 or 8 guards drinking and laughing about God knows what. Luckily for me, I just so happen to have a grenade on me. Don't ask me how. I take it out, pull the pin, smash the window open, and throw it through. As I walk away from the windows, as I walk away from the room, I hear the words, "Oh, what the fuck?" followed by a loud explosion. Finally, I needed something to blow up today. Thanks to a stroke of luck, I finally come across a new lead after peeking inside a few more rooms. Inside this room are 2 chairs, both occupied by a person. Their backs are turned to me, but there's absolutely no doubt in my mind as to who they are. Sam and Avery. At first, all I can do is breathe a heavy sigh of relief. Oh, thank God. They're still alive. I pull on the doorknob, but as I probably should have guessed, the door is locked. Guess we're doing this the hard way, I mumble as I back up, ready to kick the door down. Then I hear footsteps from nearby. It's 3rd-person POV. From around the corner comes Gemini and 2 other guards. Avalon, I was expecting you. Gemini grins as she and the 2 other guards close in on Avalon. Gemini, Avalon growls. I believe you have something I want. Are you really making demands? Oh, you're just the cutest.
Do you really think I'm threatened by you and your guards? I made it this far on my own, didn't I? Don't underestimate me, Gemini. You might not be frightened yet, Gemini sneers, but I don't know what you're scared of, Miss King. With that, one of the guards puts the barrel of his gun right next to Avalon's head. Avalon doesn't even flinch. Then the guard takes off his helmet, revealing a face all too familiar to Avalon. Her eyes go wide and her breathing halts. My God. You, Avalon gasps. What's wrong, sweetheart? Gemini smirks. You killed Talia. She had a future. All of them did, and you took it from them? I figured you'd say that, Gemini says, laughing. Without even thinking about it, Avalon takes her first opportunity and bolts. She runs until she finds an empty conference room. She hurries inside, shuts the door, and hides under the large table. She quickly gets her phone from her pocket and unlocks it, her hand shaking. Avalon finds Heath's phone number, then presses the green phone icon. Meanwhile, the remaining members of the rescue team are just chilling when Heath's phone rings. He gets it out and immediately finds out it's Avalon. Hello? He answers. I can't do this. You guys need to get in here. What happened? Mackenzie yells, freaking out. Mackenzie, chill, Heath says calmly. Avalon, what's going on? I saw him. The one who killed her. He killed Talia. And I ran. I should have killed the bastard when I had the chance, but instead I ran. And now I don't know what to do. Just calm down. We'll be there as soon as we can. The second Heath finishes that sentence is followed by the sound of a door slamming open, a scream from Avalon, and then silence. Guys, what just happened? Brielle asks, scared. It's obvious. They got Avalon. Come on, guys. We have to go, Heath instructs. Without a single word of protest from the rest of the team, Heath, Mackenzie, Jack, and Brielle run inside the headquarters of Wolf to save their friends. Alright. How much time have I been streaming for? 1:51, dude. I'm gonna be here for like another 20 minutes. Oh well. Chapter 21, L. With the help of the hovercraft's actual GPS, not human GPS, I arrive at the Wolf headquarters in a matter of minutes. I choose to park the hovercraft around the back side of the building. I wouldn't want my entrance to be too obvious. Stay here, boy, I whisper to the hovercraft as I get off of it. I'll call you if I need you. The hovercraft nods in reply, and I run off to find that there's just randomly a back door in the building. I also am surprised to see that it isn't locked. I blindly run inside, not having any idea of what to expect from these guys. At first, the hallways I walk through are completely desolate. Not even a hint of somebody else's presence is anywhere to be found. After taking an elevator to the next floor, I am greeted by a ton of dead bodies lying everywhere. Guards, I mutter to myself. As I examine the dead bodies everywhere, I am able to come to one conclusion. Somebody was here before me, and it looks as though my work was done for me. So I begin searching the rooms to see what I can find. The floor I happen to be on appears to be where prisoners are held. I come across a couple of rooms with little kids, no younger than the age of 6, in them. On a normal day, I would have gone ahead and saved the children. But today, there's no time for any of that. I am supposed to be focused on Sam and Avery and no one else. If I have time, I can save these other kids. Eventually, however, I do come across a room where I can hear crying from inside. But this is older-sounding crying. This must be it, I say to myself, taking deep breaths to prepare myself for this moment. I quietly open the door and step inside slowly. Sam, Avery, you guys in here? I ask. I slowly walk towards the two beds placed side by side. From what I can tell, there's something hidden underneath the blankets. Or possibly someone. I lift up the covers of the first bed to find a pillow. Doing the same for the other bed reveals a radio playing a looped sound effect of a girl crying. For a second, I'm confused and unable to process these events. Then I came to the conclusion that maybe they're being hidden in another part of the room. So I checked the bathrooms and then some sort of kitchen-esque room. Nothing. Then I decide to check in the closet. As soon as I open the door, a man leaps out at me. Luckily, I roll out of the way just in time. Who the hell are you? I ask. I'd like to ask you the same thing, the agent replies, raising an eyebrow at me. Out of instinct, I run into the bathroom, shut the door, and lock it. Okay, I need to explain this next part. This is kind of a reference to a short story of mine, The Unknown. I am not going to explain it. If I ever decide to read that, I will, but no. A couple of seconds pass, and I don't hear anything from outside. Then I hear a loud banging on the door, followed by a, "Get back here, you little bitch!" It startles me to the point where I fall backwards. Luckily, I catch myself using the sink. I then choose to look downwards and notice a small trash can right below where my butt would have landed. That was a close one, I mutter, remembering the last time I was in that situation. It's then that a small idea pops into my head. I pick up the can and stand by the door, waiting for it to open. The guy eventually slams it open. I'm gonna change that real quick. The guy eventually slams it open, and I nail him right in the head with the trash can. It doesn't do any major damage, but it distracts him long enough to allow me to slam his head into a cabinet door underneath the sink, knocking him out. I need to get out of here, I say quickly as I pull it out of the bedroom. Mackenzie. About a minute after we entered the building, we are stopped dead in our tracks by Sam's hovercraft. What are you doing here? Heath asks. The hovercraft screen then changes to what appears to be the view of a security camera. A small figure can be seen dashing through the hallways, and we figured out who it is as soon as we see it. Elle's here? Jack asks, about as surprised as everyone else is. Well, that's just great, I mumble. How are we supposed to find her? I stop my sentence after a hard force of some variety knocks me over. No, it isn't a force. It is a body. Geez, watch where you're going, why don't you? I mutter, brushing myself off as I get up. The person who ran into me gets up also, and, what are the freaking chances, it's Elle. Guys, you're here, Elle exclaims, as if she's never been more happy to see us in her entire life. There's no time for joyful reuniting, Heath says urgently. We have to find Avalon. Why? What happened to her? She was trying to find Sam and Avery on her own, Heath begins, but he is interrupted by a loud cry of agony. That came from over there, Brielle yells, pointing to a room near the end of the hallway we're currently in. The five of us run to the room and go inside it to find Avalon standing over a woman lying on the ground in pain. I'm just going to take a wild guess here and say that's Gemini, Jack says. Good answer, Avalon replies. How'd this happen? I ask. So Gemini was talking to us and crap, and I noticed a wrench on that table over there, so I told Avalon about it. And now Gemini probably has a busted, or at least bruised, ankle, Sam explains. It's actually a bit more intense than you might think, Avery adds. Shame you missed it. So, now what do we do with her? Sam asks, laughing. Pressure point her to unconsciousness and then lock her in a closet? Jack suggests. I was going to suggest arresting her, but that works too, I shrug. Long story short, we end up going with Jack's idea. Freaking great at this. Avery. Once we're through with Gemini, we all walk back outside, finally reunited as a complete group. Thank God we managed to get you guys in time, Heath says, standing next to Sam and I with Jack and Mackenzie by his side. We were so worried about what they would do to you, Mackenzie adds. Let me put this to you this way, guys. I don't give a shit, Sam laughs. Then he walks past Heath, waves, and says, oh, and since I didn't say this yet, hi, Elle. Hey, Elle smiles. Then she takes notice of Sam and I's interlocked hands. Well, you sure are fucked now, Avalon mutters. Trying her hardest not to break her smile, Elle grits her teeth and asks, Sam, Avery, are you two holding hands? Sam's face turns red instantly, and he begins to laugh sheepishly. Yeah, some things happened while we were in captivity. I hope you don't mind. I pitched in, trying to move things along smoothly. Elle just takes a deep breath to calm herself. Sam follows this by asking, well, I guess we'll talk about it when we get home. Oh yes, we definitely will. Well, what's the holdup? Most of us here are dying to get home right now, so hop to it, Mackenzie says impatiently. Well, at least none of us are literally dead, Avalon smirks. A short half-hour flight later, we arrive in the downtown area of our hometown. The instant we step off Sam's hovercraft, Heath asks, wait a second, how the hell are we going to get Avalon's car back? I'll talk to Daniel and see if I can talk him into driving it here, Avalon answers. Who's Daniel? I ask. Alright, you missed all of that. Daniel's my older brother. Wait, you have a brother? Sam asks, apparently not buying it. I said the exact same thing when I found out. I overheard Heath mutter to himself. Let's not focus on that right now, Mackenzie says, clearly trying to prevent an argument from happening. It's been a long weekend, and we all deserve some rest. Don't you guys agree? The agreement is pretty much unanimous. Sam and I thank everyone for helping us out, and then we say our farewells to each other and part. Okay, I think I'm at the 49 song mark now, so I have not too much longer to go. I'll take another drink real quick. This went on for way longer than I expected. Chapter 22, Avalon. Do you really expect me to drive your call all the way from here to Missouri, Avalon? Yes, Daniel, I do. Fine, I'll do it, but you owe me, kid, Daniel grumbles. I'm getting another call. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye. Sighing to myself, I plug my phone into the charger and lay down on my bed, still exhausted from the events of the past 2 days. While on my bed, I notice that I feel comfortable for once. That, added along with all the hard work done today, makes me feel a little bit drowsy. I start to have trouble keeping my eyes open. Only a few minutes later, slumber claims me. When I'm awake, I'm moving. Since I'm not fully awake yet, I can't tell why. What? I mutter, blinking. Surprise, darling, a voice I know all too well exclaims. I try to sit up, now awake and fully aware of my surroundings, but I can't. There's something holding me where I am. Holy shit. You, I stutter. What's wrong? Did I scare you? Gemini says with fake concern. Where do you think you're taking me? A small grin appears on Gemini's face. Oh, Avalon, did you really think I was going to give up on that quickly? Wait a second. I thought you were after Avery, I tell her, confused. Oh, I lost interest in her. I decided that I'd much rather spend my time terminating the last member of that silly team, Gemini smirks. You know you're not going to get away with this, I growl, although my voice is beginning to shake. Gemini takes a couple of steps closer to me until she's literally right in front of me. Wolf's gotten away with a lot of things, Avalon. This'll just be another one. Sam. It is currently 6:34 p.m. Elle was supposed to arrive at Avery's house around 4 minutes ago to have a discussion with Avery and I. You know what's worse than getting chewed out? Having to wait for it, I joke to Avery. She nods and snickers just a little bit. Finally, there's an intense pounding coming from the front door. Geez, you'd think she'd be a little bit more patient with us, Avery mutters as she and I walk to meet Elle at the front door. Avery opens the front door, and sure enough, standing right there is Elle and Heath. Okay, why is Heath here? He has no business, I start to say. We're not here for that, Heath interrupts me. We're here because Avalon just went missing. She what? Avery exclaims, almost a bit too loud. There's no time. We've got to hurry, Heath says urgently. Before I can ask where the hovercraft is, he's already getting it out. Right before we're about to begin flying, I call out, Hey, Brielle! She's with us in seconds. What are you guys doing? Rescuing Avalon. Want to join? Sure. During our, rather speedy, flight, Elle notices that the human GPS system is not currently open on the hovercraft's monitor. Shouldn't we be tracking Avalon down or something? I think I have a pretty good idea of where she is, Heath responds. About 5 minutes later, we arrive in front of a building we had just left about 7 hours ago, the Wolf headquarters. Wait a minute, Avery says as Heath parks the hovercraft. Can't talk. I thought we took care of Gemini already. If she's as dangerous as Avalon said she was, Heath tells her, while fishing through his pockets for his gun, then we really didn't. Come on, guys, we're going back in. With that, the 5 of us, and the hovercraft, grab whatever we can use as defense and run straight to the front doors of Wolf, third-person POV. Once the group's at the front doors, Sam asks, So, we just gonna raid them? Hell yeah, Heath answers. But all of the guards are dead, Brielle says, rubbing her head. They probably got reinforcements. Come on, guys, Heath urges. The team goes through the doors and steps right into motion sensors. An alarm begins blaring as red lights begin flashing throughout the building. Those definitely weren't here before, Avery says. Everyone gets ready for a fight. Heath whispers to Brielle, Alright, Brielle, this is what we've trained you for. Brielle nods in reply. After she does, small clusters of guards appear on both sides of the group. None of the guards are armed, they're quite the well-trained spies. Which is a mistake when going up against 5 experienced teenagers in a hovercraft. Sam and Heath make the first move. Both fire one bullet while facing different directions. Both bullets hit a target. The 2 groups then disperse as the rescue team members begin fighting against the Wolf Guard/spies. There aren't that many of them left, however. There are only 12 of them at this point, and 2 of them just died. But there are 10 of the most well-trained spies in Wolf, like that means anything for these guys. 3 of them surround Elle in a triangle-like formation, similar to what happened to Avalon earlier, and Elle chooses to handle it by pepper spraying one of them, then doing her best mid-air split to get the other 2 down. The hovercraft shoots any guards down that aren't dead yet. Probably the most impressive moment, IMO, is when Avery is lifted off the ground by one spy and put into a chokehold by another. Their mistake is doing this in front of Brielle. She notices the 2 guards have a hold of Avery and decides to save her. The hovercraft speeds by and hands her a crowbar. Brielle sneaks behind the 2 guards and whacks them both upside the head as hard as she can, which is pretty damn hard. Both of them fall to the ground past the point of unconsciousness. One of them even has blood beginning to trickle down his forehead. Thanks, Brielle, Avery says, gasping for air. After only another minute, the rest of the remaining guards are dead. Alright, time to find Avalon, Sam tells the group. They begin searching the hallways with the hovercraft scanning every room they come across. Finally, the hovercraft begins blinking a green light as a way of telling the group that Avalon is in the room they're next to. Let's do this, guys, Avery tells the group. Everyone nods in determination, and then the hovercraft blasts the door open with an energy orb. The team barges in. I think we've got like 2 more chapters left or something. Chapter 23. Heath. On the other side of the room is Gemini, with Avalon, who has ropes pretty much all around her body, by her side. Between us is some sort of water tank. Let her go, Brielle demands, as if that'll get us anywhere. Avalon, sweetheart, look! Your friends decided to show up. How convenient, Gemini smirks. Gemini, in what way is that convenient? I asked. You're all here, exactly where I need you. What could you possibly need us for? Avery asks. I'm going to destroy you, starting with Avalon. Without warning, Gemini then shoves Avalon straight into the water. Avalon! Brielle screams, preparing to run for her. Avery, Sam, and I have to hold her back. You're a monster, Gemini, Avery screams, shaking a fist at her. Perhaps I am, but that's unimportant. What is important is that you're running out of time. Unless, of course, you want Avalon to die, Gemini snarls. Hell no, Elle yells. With that, she and Brielle climb to the top of the water tank and hop into it. While they're swimming to Avalon, Sam, Avery, and I approach Gemini. You're outnumbered 3-1, Gemini. You might as well give him now, I tell her, pointing my gun straight at her. Sam does the same. Oh, how precious. You don't really think I'm scared of you, do you? Avery responds first, spraying pepper spray right in Gemini's eyes. Gemini stumbles backwards, reaching into her pocket. She pulls out a small syringe and then injects the fluid into her arm. You're going to regret that, Gemini growls. I don't think so, I smirk, as Sam and I both shoot her right in the chest. She once again stumbles from the bullet, falling backwards into the water. At that moment, Elle and Brielle appear at the surface with Avalon, who appears unmoving. You two take her aside and do CPR on her, Sam instructs Elle and Brielle. The two nod and take Avalon's body aside. You guys, Avery stammers, pointing inside the water tank. Sam and I follow where she's pointing. Gemini's body is beginning to change form. Her hands begin shape-shifting into claws. Her ears become more pointed. Small tufts of fur begin forming on her hands and the tips of her ears, and even her nose begins to change shape. Is she? I start to say, unable to finish my sentence. Oh my god, Sam mutters, as all three of us stare down in shock. Gemini begins to swim upwards. She crawls out of the tank and stands in front of Sam, Avery, and I in her new form. You're a wolf, Avery says in either shock or awe, I can't tell which. And you're all incredibly stupid, Gemini laughs. Brielle. Come on, Avalon, wake up, I say urgently while Elle is giving Avalon firm chest compressions. Suddenly, Avalon's eyes shoot open and she begins coughing. Oh, thank God, Elle says, breathing a sigh of relief. Then she pulls out a pocket knife and uses it to cut through Avalon's ropes. Thank you, Avalon coughs, looking around. Her eyes widen when she spots Gemini. Fuck. So she can just turn into a wolf? That's kind of cool, I guess, Elle nods. No, it's the serum. It's not cool. That stuff is the same thing that mutated the agents. Well, shouldn't we do something before they get badly hurt? I ask. I'll handle this, Avalon mutters, managing to stand up. Her actions end up getting the attention of Sam. A few gestures pass between Avalon and Sam ends up tossing his gun to Avalon while Gemini's distracted. Avalon raises the weapon, shakily aiming it at Gemini. You sure you can handle this? If you want, I can do it for you, Elle suggests. She destroyed everything that was important to me, so I'm going to destroy her, Avalon growls. Now she receives the attention of Gemini. Aw, look at little Avalon and her cute little gun, she exclaims with obvious sarcasm. That's the last time you're going to mock me, Gemini. I'm done, and you are too, Avalon replies, pulling the trigger. Epic final fight, TBH. God, we've only got like 2 more chapters left. And this is kind of a long one. Chapter 24, Avery. After Gemini falls to the ground, no one is able to move or speak for a few seconds. Avalon's eyes are closed and her breathing is calm, but you can tell that it's taking her a while to process what took place. Well, that just happened, Sam says. Now what? I ask. Easy. We get out of here and, Heath says while walking. He accidentally trips on something and catches himself by pressing one of his hands to the wall. The catch? His hand lands right on a red button, and all of us, well, maybe except for Brielle, know what's coming next. You have got to be kidding me, Avalon sighs, face palming. Self-destruct, I'm guessing? If so, how much time? Sam asks. 3 minutes. Been a while since I've dealt with one of these, I muse. Everyone else simply glares at me, so I fake off and say, less talking, more moving? Good idea, Avalon nods. With that, the 6 of us make a mad dash for the exits, with the exception of Avalon, who chooses to take the hovercraft because she's still a little weak from temporarily having no oxygen. We manage to exit the building and find a safe spot away from the building about 20 seconds later. Well, most of us do. Well, that was a thrill, Sam says. Heath's eyes begin to dart across the group, and a worried look appears on his face. We're short one person. Sam immediately figures out who it is. Elle! He begins running back to the base, which is beginning to make explosion sounds that I question the legitimacy of, and I follow him. We re-enter the building and begin searching the hallways that we traversed less than a minute ago, calling out Elle's name and whatnot. Finally, we hear her voice cry out, "Guys, over here!" and Sam and I heed the call. We find Elle trapped under a rather large piece of rubble that must have fallen from the ceiling. I probably would have laughed if there weren't 2 minutes remaining before the whole building explodes. Sam and I start by trying to lift the rubble off of Elle, but it's too heavy for even the two of us to handle. After giving up on that, we each take one of Elle's arms and try to free her from the rubble by pulling her out. Not much success there either, as she's wedged under there pretty tightly. Through the entirety of us pulling, she keeps screaming, "Ow, you're hurting me, stop!" Right as I think we're about to start making progress, she yells, "Stop, okay?" Sam and I then look at each other, and I notice that most, if not all, of the hope has drained from Sam's face. He lets go of the arm he's holding, and I do the same. "Go. Go without me," Elle says quietly, her eyes closed. Shouts to N, by the way. "Elle, we're not just going to leave you behind," Sam responds. "You have to. There isn't really a choice here. It's better for just me to die than for all three of us to," Elle tells him. I mean, it's only a matter of seconds before this whole building blows up. "Well, maybe there's something we can do," I say frantically. "There isn't, Avery. You need to accept that," Elle says to me, taking one of my hands. Her other hand goes to Sam, and she looks right at him and tells him, "Sam, I really did enjoy my time with you. I'm sorry if you think it's ending it on a low note like this." Sam just nods, unable to respond verbally. Now it's my turn to get looked at by Elle. "Avery, I want you to promise me something." "Mm-hmm." Elle takes a deep breath, then begins explaining what she wants to me. "I want you to be the girlfriend to Sam that I was. Care for him. Be there for him when he needs you most. Be the girl that I was to him." I want to say that, for one, it's a little awkward that she wants me to do this, and two, it's even more awkward that she's saying that in front of Sam. Instead, I simply smile at Elle and tell her, "I will." "Now go. There isn't much time left," Elle tells both of us, releasing our hands. Sam and I make eye contact yet again, and it's clear at that moment that she's right. There isn't anything we can do in this small amount of time. So we take our leave. Third person POV. When Sam and Avery return to the group, Brielle immediately asks them, "Did you get her?" A simple shaking of their heads and looks of remorse gives them the answer. "But the building, it's going to..." Brielle's talking is interrupted by a loud series of explosions. Everyone stares at the building as a series of flames erupt throughout what was once Wolf headquarters. No one can really say anything, nor does anybody take their eyes off of the site. Once the loud noises begin to die down, the team begins to walk away from the building in silence. The exception, of course, being Avalon. She stays behind for a few extra seconds. "Elle. Your name will be remembered as the name of another victim lost to these cruel people known as Wolf," she says quietly before taking her leave. "Elle. Am I dead?" These thoughts are going through my head as I slowly open my eyes. I see small waves of blue all around me, and beyond that, I can see flames from all around what used to be the base. While there's no flames anywhere near me, which confuses me. I hear a popping, and I feel a gigantic weight being lifted off of my back. Literally. The rubble that pinned me to the ground is now gone. I also feel something slide underneath me, and then I begin to rise up. To a normal person, this would feel like going to heaven. But I'm not exactly a normal person. Almost, but not quite. I tilt my head downwards, and my theory is proven to be correct. Underneath me sits the hovercraft. The blue waves surrounding me are its force field. It protected me from the explosions and managed to get the rubble off of me. And now, it's flying me out of the headquarters as the building itself is getting ready to collapse. As the noises of that happening are going on behind me, the hovercraft carries me back to the group, who has taken seats on a nearby bench of some sort. Most of them have their heads down in what I assume is sorrow. Eventually, they do notice me flying towards them, and their expressions turn from sorrow to joy in a matter of milliseconds. Once I finally get off the hovercraft, I'm momentarily bombarded with hugs and cries of joy before we sit back and watch the Wolf headquarters finally collapse into a huge pile of rubble. "Holy shit! You're still alive!" Avery screams, wrapping her arms around me tightly. "Yeah, I guess I am," I reply, beginning to smile as I look at all the happy faces of my friends around me. "I think now is as good of a time as any to go home, don't you think?" Heath smiles. The rest of us either nod or say, "Yeah." "Alright, hit it, Sam," Heath says. Sam takes control of the hovercraft once more as everyone steps on and he begins to fly us home. The flight itself, as usual, is both comfortable and filled with feelings of satisfaction. Although it does feel weird to me when I see Avery resting her head on Sam's shoulder, since I'm the one who usually does that. But I decide to not say anything to either of them about it, at least for the time being. Instead, I choose to sit with Brielle and Avalon, who are deep in conversation. Brielle asks Avalon, "So, will you finally be able to sleep at night knowing that Wolf is gone now?" "Probably not, but we'll see," Avalon laughs. Then she looks at me. I have to say, Elle, you did some brave things these past couple of days. I'm rather impressed by your courage to go out on your own in something like this. Thanks, is all I say. Honestly, it's all I need to say. Hearing that from someone like Avalon is almost like hearing the same thing from your parents. It takes almost as much time to get back home as it did to get from home to Wolf in the first place. By now it's 8:12 p.m., and the sky is already pretty much dark. Man, that was quite an adventure, Sam says once the hovercraft lands. But we made it. Is it honestly a surprise at this point? Heath laughs. Not really, Avalon smirks. Good job, everyone. Thanks for coming out for me. Oh, no problemo, Sam replies. Now, what do you say about calling it a day for real this time? His answer is a big whoop from just about everyone. And with that, we go our separate ways, just like always. Okay, one chapter left, thank God. Epilogue. Mackenzie. It has been 1 week since we rescued Sam and Avery from Wolf, and apparently some of them went back a second time to rescue Avalon and kill Gemini. Together, Sam and Avery's families organized a pretty big get-together at some downtown park. All of the members from our rescue team, Heath, Jack, Brielle, Avalon, and I, are there, as are some other friends of ours, Sean, Shanna, Igosa, Juliana, and Skylar. Even some old friends of the group are invited, such as Sarah, who the group met while running away from the Illuminati. That was the adventure where I joined them. Fun times. Brooklyn was a part of the group when they met Billy, and Carson, old friend of Mia's who got kidnapped by my brother. At first, I decided to just walk around and see which group I'd rather hang with. Sam and Avery are together with Heath, Igosa, and Jack. Brielle's hanging with Avalon. Skylar, Brooklyn, and Juliana are together in one group. I eventually decide on joining Sean, Shanna, Sarah, and Carson, all of whom I haven't spoken to in a really long time. Hey, Mackenzie, Shanna says, smiling and waving at me as I sit down with them. Long time no talk, I say back. How have you guys been? Neither Sarah nor Carson know me too well, so neither of them take that much notice of me. On the other hand, both Sean and Shanna begin nodding their heads while Sean replies with, Fine. Yourself? Hanging in there, I laugh. Kinda sucks that you guys stopped hanging out with us. Things got kinda crazy after you left. Really? What could have possibly happened after that? Shanna asks me. Well, Elle got kidnapped by her grandma, so we had to go rescue her from that. Then several of us went to space and stopped this evil tribe. And now, this whole business with Wolf just happened a week ago, I tell them. The entire time, Sean and Shanna stare at me with a mixture of awe and total interest on their faces. Sounds like quite the journey, Shanna nods. It was, I reply. Then I stare off at the giant web in the middle of the park and recall something that Shanna and I used to do all the time whenever we came here to hang out. Hey, Shanna, let's see who's still the better web climber, I sneer, grinning at Shanna. You're on, she replies. A couple minutes later, we meet on opposite sides of the web. Sean counts us down from 3, and when he shouts, Go, both Shanna and I begin frantically climbing. I reach the top about 3 seconds before she does. After all this time, I'm still the superior one, I laugh. While perched on the web, I decide to take a look at everything below me, and I notice Elle sitting at the top of a climbable rock, by herself. So, being the kind-hearted person I am, I make my way down from the web and take a seat next to Elle on the rock. What's up? I ask her. She shrugs. I don't know. I just feel kind of left out now that Sam's hanging out with Avery. Have you talked to him about it? I ask. Haven't gotten a chance to. Well, then maybe you should use this opportunity while you have it instead of slouching around, I suggest to her. I expect a rude rebuttal from her, but instead she just says, I guess. Then she gets off the rock and heads in the direction of the group Sam and Avery are in. Sam. While my group is lollygagging with each other, I feel a tap on my shoulder. I turn around and find out that it's Elle. You guys ready? She asks me and Avery. Nope, but I guess we've got to do it at some point, I jokingly reply. With that, Elle, Avery, and I stow away to a private location. Sam, it's time for you to make a decision. Are you going to stay with me or switch to Avery? Elle says to me. She adds right after that, we will accept your choice either way. Out of all the things that have been on my mind over the past week, this one was on my mind the most. It's one of the toughest decisions I think I've ever made in my life. But, since I've had an extended amount of time to think about it, I'm immediately able to provide an answer. Elle, I've had a streak going with you for over 3.5 years now. I start, staring Elle straight in the eyes. And I'd love to keep that streak going with you. Then I turn my gaze to Avery and take one of her hands. But at the same time, I think it's time for both of us to find other people. And that other person for me is Avery. Elle takes a deep breath and then tells me, I understand your decision and I respect it. Thank you. Then Heath calls my name for some arbitrary reason, so I get up and go to him. Third person POV. After Sam leaves, Avery leans in close to Elle and whispers to her, You're not going to be super pissed at me since Sam's leaving you for me, right? Of course not, Elle smiles. Sam's a great guy. And, after hearing what the two of you had to go through, I think you deserve him more than I do at this point. Thanks, Elle, Avery says, giving Elle one of her biggest smiles. Just do me one favor. Treat him well. Got it? Elle asks. I won't disappoint you. Avery then retreats back to Sam and their group. Elle sighs and says to herself, Ah, young love. Always surprises you when you least expect it. Jack, son. Near the end of the celebration is when Sam calls us all together to give the entire group, both new and old members, a history of all the adventures that our gigantic cluster of people has gone on over some time. So I think our this is kind of a history of every side story ever. It's kind of cool. So I think our adventures actually started when me, Sean, Shanna, Elle, and a couple other friends of ours started having weird dreams involving these monsters that ended up coming to destroy us, and we had to go stop them, Sam starts off by saying. Didn't Luke eventually join us as well? Elle asks. Yeah, he did. You know what I remember? Brooklyn says. That Hunger Games style competition we were in. God, what was it called? Smartest Kids Alive? Yeah, I remember that, Sean answers. That was a lame competition, and the guy even tried to kill us near the end, if I recall. I need to change that because Smartest Kids Alive reborn. Right, Shanna says, snapping her fingers, probably signifying that she's recalling the memory. And then a few months later, we ended up encountering this ghost. I think his name was Billy. He kidnapped Sean and I, correct? Brooklyn asks. Yeah, not fun at all, Sean laughs. I take a peek at Sam and notice one of his arms is around Avery's shoulder. Elle is on the other side of him, and she notices this. Sam notices that Elle noticed and puts his other arm around Elle, most likely just to not make her not feel left out. Well, that ghost was an Illuminati ghost sent out by my dad, Mackenzie explains, and a couple of months after that happened, you guys were being hunted down by the Illuminati. I joined you guys on that mission as well, and we were able to defeat my dad. Yeah, Sarah exclaims, and because Sam made me do that stupid dare. She glares at Sam in that last sentence. Yeah, blame the asshole, why don't you? He mutters. That was after we traversed the world in only 3 days, while being hunted by that one group, Skylar adds in. I became involved with you guys in that, Avery says, when you rescued me in Australia. We dealt with my brother twice, Mackenzie continues, and my mother once, and my grandma on 2 occasions, Elle says. She kidnapped me once. Anybody else remember when we were separated and Sam, Skylar, Mackenzie, and I were on that island? Fun times, Heath smirks. Not for me, they weren't, Elle mumbles. And then there was the ghost house, Juliana begins to say, but she's cut off when Mackenzie says, please don't bring that up again. I remember being told that was the night Mia was shot and killed. And the space expedition we went on? That was lit, Yugosa says. Yeah, I add on. What was it, the St. David's Tribe? That was pretty awesome. You think your lives are exciting? I was a specially trained agent in the UK, and then everyone on the team I was leading got killed because of an error I made, and now I suffer from PTSD, Avalon says, a fake smile on her face. Oh, and then the same person who killed my team tried. We know this part, I laugh. And let's not forget all the small things that happen here and there, Avery adds. This is kind of referencing short stories. From crazy relationships to psycho dogs to killer animatronics, I think we've really seen it all. Animatronics? Avalon asks. You had to be there, Skylar smirks. I guess the point is we've been through quite a lot, Sam tells everyone. But we live to tell the tales, haven't we? Some of us begin laughing at that statement. It truly has been a wild ride. But I'm sure these are all memories that, while not everybody here has experienced, certainly will be remembered for a long time. And we got a good old The End. Of course in Avery's font. Thank God I'm finally done with that. Jeez. That took way too freaking long. What's my uptime? 2 hours and 22 minutes. I was expecting that to take around an hour and a half. That was nice to try, but I don't think I'm planning on doing that again for a while. I also didn't have a good chat. I'm just going to go ahead and be done streaming. There's other stuff in the story. There's thoughts and comments from the authors, and then there's this final post-epilogue POV that I'm not going to bother with. Also, wall 69 pages. I'm just going to be done here. I'm going to find someone to host. Hopefully I can host someone good. Bye, I guess. I'll probably highlight this, but I'm probably not going to upload it, because that would be weird.